base, does benefit from altcoin trading as well. So, I think that Coinbase has an opportunity here down at 240 if we can get a little bit lower on that. That's where I'd be looking to pick some up here. Apparently Roblox popping a little bit, which is fine. All right, so here we go. We are almost ready.
Oh yeah, Roblox up 3%, looking pretty good there. There is a sizable imbalance on D-Wave to the buy side of 1.5 million shares worth watching, but this Hump Day Bell brought to you by Hive Digital. Check them out, HIVE on the NASDAQ. So Adara, Hump Day, Fed Minutes Day in 2 and 1, ring it.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that Fed minutes situation.
Well, they're usually kind
happening.
of boring.
All right. Okay, so let's do this, man. I mean, we're here right now. We're ready to rock and roll. The NASDAQ is pulling back a little bit, but pretty flat here to start with. NASDAQ down 0.1, S&P 500 down 0.1 as well. So a little bit of a mixed bag. We'll zoom in just a little bit to see if we can see something here on Tesla. Tesla 394 high. We wrote down 398. Let's see if the market wants to run or not on TSLA. My out on Silo is a breakthrough 160. I don't have any offers out other than a lot higher than this. So we're at 217 to get some out right now. 225, 250s for SILO. Let's go, man. It is going to be one of maybe the biggest trade percentage-wise, but we're going to wait for quantum names as well. Actually, forgot to look at quantum names. All right, Silo's starting to go a little bit. Maybe we'll take something out.
Quantum names oddly quiet at the open here. So okay. I think you got to give them a hard. If the stock is down 30%, or some of them 20%, I think you'd be able to be patient. I was expecting maybe you'd get an SSR bounce and we fade off of VWAP here at $7 even. NVIDIA does not charge up in the 143. It kind of tags 142.5 and coming back in. AMD already heading to the downside, so it doesn't even test 126 there on AMD. It's already fading. Intel hasn't broken that flat bottom at 1975. It's about 12 pennies away. So decent chance that could be the first thing while we, I guess, await some action on the quantum names. It's QBTS is the one I'm watching the most closely. I haven't really checked for Getty just yet, but QBTS, if it does make a pop, still looking for that 7 fade. While AMD's now at the lows already. That one's flushing. Yeah, it could be Intel first.
Okay, yeah. By the way, I mean, let's just keep on going with this one. Let's hit the sirens up right now. The only trade we've got on right here is Silo, and it is an absolute monster there to the north side for SILO. All right, so NVIDIA, Neil just talking about AMD. Trying to pick my poison a little bit with NVDA, but it's still not there. Wow, Silo is just Moon City, Mr. Roberts. There it goes, 250 coming into play right now on SILO as we clean it out, man. Almost $1 in the money on a $2 name. Shout out to Tisha, shout out to everybody there that is with us right now. There it goes, it is SILO on what is just an absolute banger right there. We've still got on about like 30% of this. Does it look like it might want to halt? We're waiting at 295 for this one. Huge move up there for SILO. NVIDIA does pop a little bit, but then fades back out again. So yeah, 143.50. Maybe we got to start there. I'm just going to watch out for Silo.
Yeah, the Silo is, well, you know what? It's a great show. It's a great trade. That's actually a really good show on Apple TV. But QBTS just made a monster bottoming tail candle here. It does feel like if it doesn't pop after this kind of a rejection of the lows, might just have to take a breakdown. I don't think we're going to get $7, unfortunately, on this. We thought we'd go pop and fade. There just isn't a pop to be had here on QBTS. NVIDIA is still, why is NVIDIA doing nothing when AMD is absolutely tanking?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, AMD is really tanking. Intel hasn't broken the low, which doesn't make any sense. AMD's down 4% and continuing. Why isn't Intel broken that low? Intel doesn't want to hold and break underneath that bottom. Oh, we forgot Micron. Micron does not hold on to support and it just turned red. So I still like this, but prior day low and then previous day high was at 101.5. That's the only spot I'm going to look for bounce on that name. So I'm going to give QBTS another chance here to maybe try to bounce, but it looks like it is just going to be flat bottom breaks on these. If you take an even dollar break, remember it's short sell restricted. So it's not like you can guarantee you're going to get a fill if you hit the bid as it's going through a level. Shorting the pops is generally what you want to do on these SSR names.
Okay, we've got a new position alert right here, guys. So we'll watch out for it, but it's in there right now, and that is going to be AMD. We just talked about what we liked on it, where we liked it, and it just broke through that 123 level. So we're going to start the short now. We've missed it already. We're not in this very many shares. We don't want to just like pile into stuff in case. Okay, there goes Tesla, by the way. We are really starting. Okay, so we're starting to get upside.
Tesla's at 390.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm short right now on Tesla. But right now, AMD short against 123.30s. Okay, that's our short. We are now into another position right now. It's Tesla. So there goes Tesla all the way up to that 400 level. This is the spot that we thought we liked. So now, okay, it's here. So we are now short at 398.40s here on Tesla. Let's see if we can get some 397s or so, and then we'll work on it from there. But there it goes, Tesla all the way to the upside. The level that we wanted is here on TSLA.
Yeah, Tesla getting right up there with the market as well, trying to break out these local highs. I did get Mara going into that 19, but here's a NASDAQ. 3 or 4 times we've tested 21.4. Looks like we're headed for another test of that level. Some strength coming in. Bitcoin's trying to take that 96. Still so weak on AMD relative to NVIDIA. This is going to be worth monitoring because NVIDIA is doing that. There's like that higher low, both like holding on to VWAP. It's almost at this pre-market high, also going to be yesterday afternoon's 143. So that is the curl. Still no real trade intel because that just popped back up to 20 bucks. So the move to the upside is very real here.
Yep.
But I'm only in Mara, shorting this one back into VWAP. As it pulls back in, we'll still get the 18.6, 18.7 for first outs.
Guys, big trade alert here on AMD, man. We're short at 122.80. Big trade alert right there. And $2 now in the money on Tesla. Oh, boy. So far, so good. What's up, Adara?
Right off the open, up about 8.7%. Meta announcing earlier this morning that they're going to be testing this feature that will allow buyers to browse listings from eBay on Facebook Marketplace. So some Facebook Marketplace eBay integration here being announced by Meta. EBAY up about 9% with a 4.38% short float, guys. Back to you.
Guys, right now we have 3 positions, Neil, all of them more than $1 right now. And that's including Silo, which is right now in the money. We've got AMD, we've got Silo up to $3, and we've got Tesla down to $3.97. So big trade alert right now over here as we just fade the plays, man. We talked about trying to be short today. That's exactly what we are. We're taking some more out, though, as this is really starting to get juicy, man. Great opportunity to get short today. And there it goes, man. Stay on that bear. If check nothing out, man, the sticky note, all we wrote down was shorts, and all we talked about all morning was the bearish sentiment. So we go short right there. We'll go 3 for 3, and they're absolute monsters, Neil. There it goes. Look at that, $3 on Silo. We just took some out right there. This name might not stop.
Might not stop, but the market is not stopping either. We're headed back in. I only have one position. One stock came to our level. Test of 19 on Mara. 1 in on the curl. This time, always try to preach patience or talk patience, but I feel a little bit better about this one. Waited for it to make the top, get the wick high. When it failed the high, then jump into the short on the mean revert, right back into the low of 18.5. So we risk about 5 cents if you take an average price there, because I have a couple of entries, and we'll work it back into that low. Still nothing to be said about QBTS. It broke 6.
Come on, Tesla.
So you didn't get the break on $6. I didn't get a fill when it broke that low. Remember, these stocks are SSR, so short sell restricted. 40% to the downside on QBTS, and it's also Rigetti as well. All of these names absolutely bleeding. 40% now on Rigetti as that just broke $11 to the downside. Next available pop. I mean, that's all you can try to do is hit the even dollar break or take the next available pop. So in 1 for 1 as you start to head nastily to the downside. Yikes. Why are there no halts on these?
Dude, we are $1.80 in the money, and our price is $1.80. Like, I don't know why Silo's not even halting up there as well, but it's not. And right now, Tesla, big trades again, man, as we start to get out of some of this, as we start to head a little lower. I don't want to, like, just get out of everything on Tesla because we want to make sure that, you know, if the move does, I mean, there it is, we take another 50 fill, but if the move really does continue to the downside, we want to make sure that we do have some shares because, again, over and over and over again, we're posting up these levels. There it is. Holy crap. crap, Neil. This is really starting to get going now as Tesla down into 395, starting to get lower right now. If you're here for banger trades, Neil's got on the Mara. I've got on AMD now, $1 in the money, $4 in the money, Sharif, right now as the traders are in the building again today, down into 394 one more time for Tesla as that goes downside here. So the banger on Mara, Silo's on here as well. AMD's kicking. We're good to go right now. Watch out for crypto, 95 and change. We're doing good, man. We are almost out of all of Silo up here at 3 and change.
The rock star to the upside is Silo, but the market just broke contained to the downside, everybody. Watch out. First pop into $6 on QBTS.
Wow.
So it's finally made some kind of a green candle since the open. Prior high is at 610. So I'm going to give it to about 615. You're kidding me. You put an offer. You got to be, wow. Throw an offer, and it just absolutely drops to the downside. These stocks are going nowhere but down. So continuing to bleed. Still want to catch that first one. There is another banger to the upside. It's a White Nubian King in the chat. I don't know why I found that a little bit amusing. Palantir almost got back to the 70 level. So Palantir got to 69.5. Remember, 70 to 71 was a monster support level. To me, support to resistance is one of the simplest strategies, but here's the mean reverse. Obviously, falling back in and looking relatively nasty here is Palantir. I still think the short is going to be the way to go until you break out some of those prior highs. Intel still hasn't broken, so we're trying to be patient with it. That in QBTS, Intel breaks the low, and we're going to be taking that breakdown. Just hasn't done it yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Yeah, we're just trying to slow down a little bit here because I'm trying to analyze some of the levels. Like our net is like is doing well today. So we're you know, what a difference a day makes. But remember I told you guys like we're coming back today. Like we're coming back for this. And this is it right there. Now holding $6 in the money on these trades, and that's including Silo, which is we're getting more and more out. I'm starting to get more out of AMD right now at 90s. Again, we got that super chat yesterday. I almost think this trade's better, and it's only $1 and change in the money when we took 3 or 4 yesterday on AMD. The reason why is because we got going early on this one. We played that 123 break, and the thing is like. We sit here all the time and is like, well, it didn't get to our levels. Yeah, I mean, AMD didn't get to my levels either, right? I mean, it didn't, Neil mentioned 126, like that. Same thing with NVIDIA. I didn't even look at NVIDIA today because I'm like obviously obsessed with these names. But, you know, once this broke 123 and we talked about that, you remember I was like, I'm not that confident on AMD, and all of a sudden now it is what it is. But once we broke that 123 and we went like this, and then Neil's like, AMD's weak, AMD's weak. I was like, all right, we remembered the 123 level. So we wanted to start the short. We started the short at 40s, actually. It was bad. And then it ripped up into that 123 level. And that's where it was like game on. And then boom to the downside. So it's like, this is part of that intuition. You know, we talk about that as traders. Like, it's not just, let's just throw out some levels and hope they get filled. Sometimes the market, and by sometimes I mean all the time, is a living and breathing thing that you adapt to as the market's ongoing right now. So as you can see, we're obviously favoring the shorts here, as all of us are now, well, both he and I, are net short now.
Well, probably most people are short.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, you know, I've been known to get caught going the other way on some of these plays.
Well, it actually depends on stock. I'm sure there's something up right now.
Yeah, Silo. Silo's the biggest trade of the day. It's just a matter of it's not a tech name. So there's out of Silos all around 320, man. We are pretty much out of this. I'm going to put my stop now at 240. Unbelievable. The stop on this trade, we were long at 173. The stop was 160. We put that out there, 13 cents to make almost $1.50 there at the top. So, all right, let's see if the market continues to bleed down, man. I'm just doing nothing but talking right now and holding on to some of these shorts. What's up, Adara?
We have this push down in Micron. MU had a pretty good day yesterday, especially compared to the rest of the chip names. It was poised for a good day today, now down about 2.5%. Could not find a negative catalyst for this name, but we do have one that could be pretty interesting, announcing that they've broken ground here on the $7 billion AI-driven memory facility here in Singapore. So MU with a $7 billion facility in Singapore on watch. Down, though, actually below that $100 level right now, guys.
Finally got QUBT. QBTS. I'm like,
Really?
I just psyched myself out because as I was saying QUBT, obviously that's what I type into the level 2 because that's what happens. That's how the human brain works. But it just tagged $6 on a retake and then right back into the low at 560, bouncing. Now it's got this obvious range here from 558 into $6. Need a range break of the low, and then every even dollar is a thing. If you pull out the chart, $5 kind of lines up with a prior high, and then the 50 period probably doesn't matter on a stock like this, but it happens to be down at 450. I don't know where the bottom is going to be on this. I was telling Sean, why can't I enter orders? Oh, that's why. All right, so I was telling Sean there was a really good article, if anyone hasn't read it, well, not article, but a good thread by Martin Shkreli. I don't know why he knows so much about quantum, but it's worth a read if you catch it, although he's very bearish. So took it out. If we play this range again, I might take a reload if it does another pop and fade off of QBTS at this $6 level. As far as Mara goes, it is at the low and bouncing. Now back at VWAP, so we scalped pretty much all of it out, left holding on to the last 15%. If it breaks 1845 is the low of the day, I think we had to look for a separate trade here on Mara. Like that's a big gap fill underneath. So it's either shorts into 19 or it's breakdown here on MARA. Intel does make the low break. Prior bottom is 1985. So it's short there, out if it breaks that. If it breaks 20, this could actually turn into a bit of a long. So just trying to keep the structure the same. And NVIDIA, which we haven't made a trade on, headed toward that high. So still, NVIDIA looks like it's kind of strong relative to everything else that is shorting or hitting those lows. Strong day for NVIDIA, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I was looking here, something similar, and just wondering about what exactly is happening right now with AMD. So here's AMD right here. And it's starting to loop up a little bit. So I'm starting to get a little lighter and not at great prices. Like these are 30s. So we have a 25 and a 30, then that last one right there is a 40. Okay, here it comes back into a 30 again. I am bidding 22s. That was one of my last fills. So hopefully that will come back and we'll get that fill right now on that space. So it did make a move up. You know, there are opportunities to fade pops for sure. There it is. Okay, we get the 22, so that's all good. But that was just going to be one of the plays that we were going to look at here as this market continued to sort of drag lower, was possibly reloading. So I'm still there at 123. We did miss it, so it came up into 80. Low 80s. We'll be there again if it does happen. All right, Tesla, again, was making them in nerves, as my old Nana would say. Sean, are you making them in nerves? But right there, now it comes back to the downside here. Whenever we used to get into a car or whatever, everything would always make her nervous. All right, so here we go. Now there, we'll take something out at 95 if we can. We bid to 94 there instead of 95s, but it don't matter. Right there, there's $3 as Tesla hopefully will make that move down. We do have, I just heard in my ear, if we check out our watch list today, and I want to thank everybody for watching, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I mean, if you're here for big runners, it's Silo time. If you're here for tech names, it's AMD and Tesla time. You're here for crypto, Neil's got Mara on board as well. At 10 o'clock, though, I don't see anything on economic numbers. So I just heard it in my ear, but on our watch list, I do not see anything, which is fine. There's a good out on Tesla as it's starting to bounce back up a little bit now as well. So Tesla right now upside. What's up, A?
There's actually a minor thing here on the economic calendar. It wasn't on the watch list because it wasn't actually populating until just now, but at 10 a.m., we are going to be having some wholesale sales data. It looks like it's a revision. Either way, we will cover that at 10 a.m., not to worry. Now, in terms here of stocks on the move, CURR, this is Currents Group. They're going to be on watch here. Just pulled back, but they were just up about 200%. Pretty volatile, hanging out around that $4 level. This company announcing that it's launched an AI call center. So keep an eye on CURR with where's the market cap on this one? Market cap about $280 million. Trading currently around 8,000 RVOL, guys.
Thank you, Adair. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that one. There it is, man. And we do it again and again and again. There's another reload on AMD. We just talked about that price we were waiting for. And we got it, right? We got those 90s. So we got 91 reload there on AMD. We'll put 40 cents in our pocket. Puff, puff, pass over to you, Mr. Roberts, because right now, man, we smoking.
smoking to the downside still. Everything, although the market is flat, you got to be in the names that are moving. So Quantum going. Chip names are going. Meta has one of the nastier candles at the open. I'm only monitoring this because that is a hefty bottoming tail candle on Meta, and if the market goes, Meta looks like a long off of that candle. So if it holds on to VWAP and the market starts taking highs, I think you got to start thinking other direction in Meta, along with Nvidia, which you can't ignore the fact that Nvidia is strong here. Nvidia is holding higher lows. It's trying to break out that top. This could end up being a bit of a joiner. QBTS and Rigetti and all of those other names continue to trend lower. I don't know that there is like a bottom, but anytime it does a big mean reversion where it just trends down like this and does a mean revert, I want to jump out of it and short the next available pop. So still working to the downside. Rigetti is now Rigetti just broke 10, is at 9.5 and continuing lower. What the heck? These are all really nasty. IonQ as well, absolutely bleeding. Now it's $30 on IonQ. I'm going to set up one of these I'm going to want for a mean reversion if it does any kind of like a panic candle or series of candles like this just for a scalp trade. And if one of them halts, that could be the moment that it happens. So I'm going to watch out for any potential halts as well on some of these quantum names. Not a very good start for them. But NVIDIA up 2% and climbing toward the high. Like there's plenty of strength if you want to look hard enough to find it. NVIDIA's about to take out high day.
Yeah, that's crazy. We just got we got taken out there on AMD, but it did. Okay, I'm going to try to get back in. It did hit that VWAP level, so we got to watch out now. I'm going to put it a little bit higher. I actually didn't realize that VWAP had sort of come in so close to those levels. We never want to get stopped out exactly on those levels. So we will not take many more shares. We'll try it right here, right now, as Neil keeps on mentioning NVIDIA ripping upside. Our target for NVIDIA, I'm still there with the offers. So it's still 144, 145, 146. So we're nowhere near it for us on NVIDIA. But right here, though, we are on this one, and that is going to be Silo. We take out some more at 285. Our stop, remember, is 240. So if that breaks below that, or 245, something like that. If it breaks below, yeah, so VWAP just keeps changing. It's 245. So we'll take it out another piece there and get lighter and lighter on that one. Tesla, again, what? I thought I was bidding 395. Oh, you got that fill right there. My bad. Okay, so we were bidding 395. We just touched down to 394 again. Let's not put any bids on Tesla now until we get to the low of this move. So 393. I'm going to put a bid right there now on Tesla at 393. What I was meaning by smoking, like, yeah, the market is not, and that's why I'm like, really excited about the trades that we have on today because it's like the market's not really doing anything, yet we've been able to really, hit some winners. And it's just the way the market sometimes trades and gives you these situations. It's like trade the strong names to the strong side, to the long side, trade the weak names to the south side, and when they happen for you. Just like you had that, I don't know what happened to QBTS there, but that was.
It just came out. Rigetti did a pretty well. Okay, now it's at the lows again. All right, so a second ago, Rigetti did this huge move through $10, and then right after it just smoked back up through the $10 level. So I put a trailing stop. I was going to look for a reversion trade, but I kind of feel like the long is wrong on these, obviously. But at that moment, I did trail out of QBTS when Rigetti made that move, and then Rigetti's right back at the low of the day. Like, these quantum names are absolutely dying. Bitcoin just got to 95 even.
Let's go.
And so Mar just broke the low. 18 even is going to be the next obvious target because 19, 18 half. Every single even dollar level or half dollar level going to have to be it. Market continues to work into the downside. NVIDIA just lost the top and continues lower. And the quantum names just continue to flush, man.
Guys, we just put a 393 bid. Remember, we said we're going to wait for 393. Neil, this is $6 now in the money on the trade. And you talked about it. I talked about it. We talked about this name coming up to 400. How close to 400 do you need? 399. 25s right there. So this trade alone right now is $1.80, $2 worth of risk right now. To go 3 to 1, yeah, that's probably that would always pretty much, we'll see, Randy. Okay, so right down into here it comes in again, into 29. And that's a good point, Randy. Like, not everybody every day is going to be green or red, right? I mean, it's just like, despite this market going down, you could have completely opposite opinions sometimes, and it's just like yesterday, what we talked about with, look at that reload on AMD though. Oh my God. We are now at the highest spot we've been at all day, and what a difference a day makes, Randy, is what I was trying to get out here. Right now, we're doing pretty good. Look, I mean, we only have 3 names today, right? I mean, this is a monster runner. This is probably, could be even P&L number 1 at Real Trading, the stock, maybe SILO, huge move up right there. And then, as we had listed on our sticky note, it's always the best when it actually works out. And there it is right there, Tesla, 398 to 400, Randy, written on there, right there as the top of the day. 398 to 400. And then AMD, as we've all talked about, being weak. So we have only 3 trades today, and they're all right where we need them to be. So yeah, so far so good. I might go for, do you mind grabbing another coffee? I was gonna go for a walk, but I got these positions on here, and without more trades.
Usually always want to get the coffee when you get a chance. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you sneaking to games there. I know you don't mean me is a legend, but SEAN, this individual potentially is a legend. So I used to have a friend in high school. We had Sean there, spelled that way. So shout out to you. Thank you so much, Sneak into games there again. We will sneak into a big time trade today. So, oh, there goes Silo downside. So, all right, let's go, man. Right now, P&L number 1, realized P&L number 1, SILO. AMD right now, Neil, on the reload, another 75 cents.
Yeah, great look. Like I said, the quantum names are catching a bit of a bid here. So I'm going to back away, wait for it to make some kind of a pop. It's just about patience, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's what boded well yesterday. Today isn't the same kind of day as yesterday, but you want to try to learn those lessons. So we waited for, wasn't in anything early. And this is the only green candle we've had since. So if it doesn't break this 560, I'll look for that reload. Mara just tried to grab VWAP, and we thought we'd be able to take it. If it gets into VWAP, it's getting really close. Going to look for that mean revert to run back into this as we continue to work into said downside on the overall market. As we said, NVIDIA is still relatively strong, putting in a higher low here on NVIDIA. With respect to NVIDIA, if it doesn't ever break VWAP, this does turn into a potential breakout trade, but I don't trust, it's only 10 o'clock. At this point, I just want to look for continuation shorts in the things that have worked, as opposed to maybe looking for those long trades. I did like Micron if it could have held on to 101.5, but just because I like a level, if it doesn't hold the level, why go long? Like, who cares? Is there a bounce here? Is there anything there? No, it just drops through like a rock. So no need to fight it. And that's the thing about trading. You can like an idea, but if it gets to your price level and nothing indicates that it's a buy when it gets down there, then why be into it? So Micron turns red, and all of a sudden I could care less. Gonna have to throw this one away. Maybe even look for a short in Micron. So we are trying to get back into the quantum names to the downside. I am noting that QUBT and Rigetti both seem, at least momentum-wise, the weakest in here. But I did not pay for locates on QU. I think I have Rigetti shares shortable, and we've got QBTS shortable. But I am watching all 3 of them, looking for the next pop to short it. Mara, we're just holding on to the even. When it gets to 18, we're out.
Yeah. I'm starting to just start to, breathe a little bit, and see just like empty out the clip a little bit here, because it's already, you know, like the day that we need to have. It's only 10 o'clock. We do have these numbers coming out. We want to look for other opportunities. I don't want to get like pigeonholed just thinking sort of one way right now, just because we are like a little, you know, overwhelmed with some of this. That was a good trade. That was a good trade. And now we'll just wait to see if we can get even a little bit lower. It's Tesla that's stressing me out the most, really. Although this Tesla and AMD are going to be P&L number 1, 2, and then Silo 3, right? At the end of the day, because we actually trade much more aggressive in these names than in the low runners. But still, we still did fine. It's just like right now, the market's not moving that much. And as Neil said, and as you can clearly see by both of us trading, by the midday trading, by that own Playmaker poll, which is at 0 and even below 0 right now, trading is not easy. You know, when you have these winners on, and we talk about that all the time. I mean, look behind us how packed this floor is. Trading can be difficult, you know? So when there's winners, you got to put them on board. You know, I'm always here talking about, you know, we have bad days, we have good days. I told you yesterday was a bad day. We got hit. The honesty of Obi as well yesterday, talking about him getting hit yesterday as well. You know, this is what it's all about. It's about, like, you guys, you put in there, you know, respect for this trade, great trade, that trade, this trade. But I think it's important that we honestly understand. Today we're 3 for 3, and it's a banger of a day. And I think that most of you that have been watching this for years and years and years know what's up. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to sort of take it day by day and step by step. And if you're here to make money, that's what we're trying to do. You know, and sometimes in an attempt to do that, you'll also lose. So despite, like, maybe the successes of one trader doesn't necessarily mean the successes for all traders. So stay in your lane. Everybody just keep on, you know, doing what you're doing best. And thankfully have great friends like Neil and Randy that can make the day so much more enjoyable.
I thought you were going to change that for a second to a bull, which would not have been, not yet, but maybe. NVIDIA high of the day break just now. NVIDIA is absolutely gonzo to the upside, so it looks like this one is going to put in some strength. It's still resistance till it's not, as far as I'm concerned up here. So if it mean reverts, let's give it a little bit of a breath as we try to go back higher. Quantum names are trying to go, so there's another pop. They can't get to VWAP, but maybe if it gets to VWAP, you're not even going to want this. But there's now, well, what's 4 green candles in a row on a 3-minute for QBTS, even though it's down 40%. So it is clawing its way back up. Every single bounce is in theory an SSR bounce, and you're lining up for a run at this $6 level. So that's where I want to put the reload in. As long as we get some kind of a trend break, this upward trend it's making, or resistance at 6 even, we're going to go back into QBTS. And we've got a Dara for Happen.
Here comes Tesla.
Some numbers here, not massive by any means, but we did have the revised wholesale inventories number month over month for November, coming in negative 0.2%. That is exactly in line here with the forecast and the consensus, but it's a little bit lower than the previous print of positive 0.1%. We also got wholesale sales data on a month-over-month basis, well above expectations here, 0.6% to the upside compared to positive 0.2% expected and negative 0.1% previous. So again, exactly in line here for the revision for wholesale inventories, a little bit higher here for wholesale sales. It's been yet another interesting day for the market here. A lot of these Mag 7 names still on watch because they made big days, big moves yesterday. Actually, all 7 of the Mag 7 ended red on Tuesday's session. NVIDIA trying to bounce back, as is the market, a little bit range bound here, but it's worth noting we are still basically flat on the day for the QQQs. We'll have to see if the NASDAQ is able to recover properly from weakness yesterday, despite a pretty strong showing on Monday. Another ticker to keep an eye on here, we have Micron, MU. This is actually poised to be the strongest semiconductor of the day, including with the $7 billion investment here for the Singapore facility for AI memory. Either way, we do have the drop here, about 2% for MU, and we know these semiconductors are going to be on watch all week due to the CES conference. Last but not least, we have Rigetti and all these quantum tickers that Rigetti definitely in watch here. Basically what happened was Jensen Huang said during an interview after CES saying that he gives it about 15 to 30 years before we actually get the abilities here to do some practical computing with quantum. So keep an eye on all of these tickers. Trying to make a little bit of a bounce here, especially with Rigetti bouncing just below that $10 level. But either way, be cognizant. These tickers are on watch. Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli also had some comments on these. And before we send back off to the boys, we're going to take a moment to thank Prop Firm Match. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to find the perfect prop firm? With so many options out there, it's easy to get lost. That's where Prop Firm Match comes in. Prop Firm Match is the ultimate platform to help you identify and compare reliable prop firms tailored to your trading style and goals. Whether you're after low fees, high profit, splits, or quick funding evaluations, we've got you covered. Say goodbye to hours of research and confusion. Prop Firm Match makes it simple to find your perfect prop firm. Scan that QR code or visit Prop Firm Match today. propfirmmatch.com today and take the guesswork out of finding the perfect prop firm. Back to you.
Yes, sir. And
Yes,
thank you very
sir.
much to them. Scan that QR code you see there. Hey, we trade prop.
ASAP.
And it's the trading prop. It just means essentially you're trading a firm's money, right? So there's retail where you're trading your own, and there's prop. That's the easy way to think about it, where you're trading someone else's money. And when you are doing that, you want to make sure you respect their parameters, because everyone's going to have different rules. Prop firms are always going to have risk limits and that sort of a thing, which helps you with your discipline. So as markets come back in here, part of discipline is if it gets to our level and sets up, we take it. If it doesn't, we don't take it. So Mara's coming back, trying to retest those highs. It's not there yet. We're at 70s. I'm in at 80s. We'll see if we get another curl up there. I keep checking over at QBTS to see if we're going to get that push, or I guess not even push, relief rally, because I think, you know, when a stock is down this much and it goes up like a few pennies, you can't really call it much of a push. But it is a little bit of a curl into this 580, and it's trying to mean revert back in. Still lower highs and lower lows for now on QBTS. So first available pop seems like, or next available pop seems like it's now. Local highs at about $5.80. If we catch a fill, just going to move a stop to that level. All of them still bleeding as far as I'm concerned. And you know, whether it's this, whether it's RGTI, Rigetti. Yeah, Rigetti just did a curl at $11. Let's see if we can't get back on QBTS. They're all short sell restricted, meaning, you know, you're not really getting filled when you hit that bid.
All right, well, interesting times over on Ridgemont High over here right now, because we just go long on Tesla right there as it breaks higher. We get out at 401.50s, 401s, go long at 401 as well. So now taking it the other way to the long side and hoping for more. We just got some out in and around that 402. So right now we are long Tesla 401, engines revving now. We said we're just doing what we said we'd do. So that's what makes it feel good. And we went on that sort of thing about how, you know, what trading's all about and things like that. I mean, this to me is what it's about, you know, throwing some things back and forth here into the market, seeing what sticks, making the trades, making the plays, and there it goes right there. And it's just sticking to your plan. I think Obi yesterday talked about that, right? And it was a data point, that question that Joe asked him. And it was, what data point would you keep on your journal? You know, and it was, did I stick to my plan? And I think that we talked about going long 401, going long over 400, over under 400, I think was even the terminology that Neil used as well. And so there it goes, man. So we take that trade, we take the long. Let's see if it works out. But one thing that has worked out, that is for sure, is our consistent pressure that we keep applying on AMD. And I mean, this is the other thing about, and Adara coined this, so I say shout out to Adara for having some confidence. And it's like, this is what it's about. It's do not leave your trades. Like, if the trades break down, fine, get out of them, for sure. And we did that. We got out right here. It broke down, it took VWAP, we got out. I, unfortunately, you know, I wish I would have looked at this a little bit more, and we should always be focused on the trades that we have. You know, unfortunately, someone even in the chat goes like, hey, man, you know, this is also, not only are the trades bangers, but it's also pretty entertaining. So it's like, you got to watch out for those things, but there goes AMD to the downside. So there's us getting out, and there's us getting right back in, and we talked about giving it a little bit more room. So here's another dollar right there. We've been in the dollar club on every trade so far that we've had. Hopefully not making it a reverse dollar club here on Tesla. But AMD, there it goes, man. Huge move, Neil. Right back into the downside one more time, as this market cannot seem to hold any bids. I mean, that was a nice move on the futures. But yeah, fade central coming through one more time. There goes AMD to the downside.
Yeah, and when the market does this wick top, you got to be careful. Again, it just cannot seem to break through these highs. So now I'm just looking for an entry on the way back in. Trying to keep it simple, keep all the, you know, try to keep emotions out of it. I saw that in the chat yesterday. Like, I'm staring down Mara, I'm staring down Qubits, and it's not Qubits, it's D-Wave and Intel, QBTS. So if we get a mean revert here, which would be a break of the trend line, I'm jumping short. Well, I'm already in Mara, but you guys get the idea. We're going to fade it. It's the same thing with QBTS. The problem with this one is, it's, when it heads to the downside, the bid just sort of evaporates. So it's a little bit trickier trying to catch the short in any of these quantum names because it's SSR, bid just drops, and you can't hit the bid. It's longs covering the majority of the fills that you're getting here. So kind of a missed opportunity, but that's the problem. If you're going for a mean revert strategy where you're waiting for it to break the trend, when a stock is SSR and it breaks the trend, the bid probably just drops out and you can't hit that bid to get in. You might have to have a different approach to getting back into the short on QBTS. Not an issue for MAR. You hit the bid on MAR, you're going to get the bid. But yeah, QBTS, bit of a swing and a miss there. That's twice that we haven't got a punch on QBTS, unfortunately. But there's still plenty of time in the day. I just tracked over to NVIDIA, and it did not hold. So now it's a failed break on NVIDIA. Failed break continuation. If we don't get above VWAP, then all I see is a failed breakout. If you start putting in lower highs, then the NVIDIA turns back into a short as well for me. So again, just got to be a little bit patient with this. BFRI, another one of these, hold that prior high breakout, you're going to be in a world of hurt, especially VWAP coming back in and underneath on BFRI. So still the same three names I'm looking at in QBTS. Here comes $5. You got to be kidding me. The quantum bleed is really on, and they don't seem to have much of a bottom.
What's up? I mean, Sam Pepper, like I said, man, this is part of it, right? And you said right there, Sean says stick to his strategy, then he switches long. I told you, over 400, I'm going long. Under 400, I'm going short. So I absolutely stuck with the strategy. The only problem there is that I held this breaking through 400. It just should have been another short. That's all. And honestly, like, it's, to be green and to be like doing some of the stuff that we're doing here today is pretty special. So I just hope that everyone, like I said, can trade their own stuff, because it's not an easy day trading. And, there's going to be traders, obviously, that are going to be green, that are going to be red. When making a trade like that on Tesla, you really have to have, again, like that sort of conviction to hold, in my opinion anyways, to hold that through 400. Sure, the market's tanking, and let's not get it twisted. I mean, now this is $1.70 right now in the money. So let's props up to actually, to your point, Sam, to actually sticking to the plan, making the money, and going short. And sticking with the AMD short, right? So we don't have a red name. I don't have a red name today, and we've done really well, I feel like, on everything that we've traded. So we're going to try to keep the momentum here to the south side on the trades, but to the north side on our logic and on what we've been doing. Because you know where I'm sitting on? I'm sitting at 144.50 on NVIDIA, because again, it's what we labeled and what we wanted to do. So, and again, we were too busy with Tesla at this point. So again, good call. But that only gets to 144. So we were, again, in the right space, just missed that trade. And we talked about waiting for levels to come through, right? NVIDIA is still positive here today as the market is bleeding. And then we got that super chat yesterday. The best trade yesterday was the AMD short. And it looks like today, I think, bar none again right now on this AMD, just because it was reloaded 3 times up there at 123. That looks like that could be, again, it's only 10-12. I mean, there's a lot more to happen right now. But for me, this pretty much like ticks all the boxes for what I'm looking for right now on that trade. And then, Silo was great. We got stopped out there. We had 5% left, I think. I think we had 10% left at one point, and we got some out there at 290. Then we got out again there. But Silo, again, just buying there and then buying the dips and reloading that and taking that right there to the upside. So, yeah, man, like so far so good on pretty much everything that we're doing. Just waiting to see for more opportunities. Really, that's it. And a little sad about missing out, obviously, on that Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get every fill, you can't get every execution.
Still a positive name, but
it is what it is, right? Like, you just gotta, when you make a trade on a specific setup, okay, when it wins, just make sure when that same setup comes again, and eventually all trades are winners or losers at some point, just make sure when you win more than you would lose on that trade. And sometimes when you miss an entry point, it means it didn't give you a perfect setup. And if you take if you take a trade that isn't part of your plan and it wins, sometimes that sets you up for failure. So look, Rigetti's now at 50% down. I feel like that's a psychological level here for Rigetti. But the other thing to track is there's nothing on the chart till you get to like $6.50. I'm in halt watch on some of these. If there's some kind of a capitulation bottom, I'd like to look for like a panic low and then maybe some short covering. So at this point, like Rigetti seems like it would be the one. Every even dollar, I'm going to look for it. Mara, we got into intel on a curl, but Mara did a bid drop when it. So when it's set up here, it was a very big difference between Mara the first time it came up there and the second time. Like when it broke trend, like that first candle was like 2% to the downside. So like it's just like not like the open where it goes in there and just hangs out for you to get the top. No, this one dropped like a rock. So for that entry strategy, didn't get the reload. But if it double bottoms here at 18.25, I jump out of the trade and look for the next. But the way these quantum names are going, I just feel like there's going to be some kind of a shot at a reversion on the quantum names. So I want some kind of a panicking candle through an even dollar level. Try to take like a very tight stopped long trade on a mean revert here on Rigetti. If Rigetti looks like it's the closest one to it, 50% down, 9 even, trying to put in a bit of a double bottom. As I said, I'm getting out of Mara if it double bottoms that 18 level second time.
All right, man.
Jay Lee said they're already long Rigetti. Good luck, Jay Lee.
Yeah, best of luck to you, Jay Lee. Yeah, look, you know, there's another $2 right there. So the double dollar club right there on AMD. We can have a quick look at Rigetti as well. But for right now, this is what we're in, and that's what I'm looking at. So AMD, nice move down. Let's see. We're waiting now for 120. We don't have any reason to do anything other than wait for that right now. And, of course, lament missing and flipping over on Tesla. Look, Tesla is still going to be P&L number 3 today. But at the end of the day, wow, huge move down on TSLA. Congratulations, anybody, you know, revving those engines upside right there on Tesla. So, yeah, that's that trade. I would still look for a long maybe in this name, and we were just bouncing right now off these lows as well that have come into play. So maybe there is something right there. We just did take that opportunity to cover just a little bit more of AMD on that downside there at 121. But right now, it is now $2.50 now in the money as we get even lower. If you guys are here for winning trades, thank you. If not, thank you as well. 9,600 watching right now. If we can hit that like button, let's get that going as we're setting records over here at Trader TV Live. So thank you so much for all of the love and the support, and just keep it coming, right? I mean, we're here for you guys. We're here tomorrow. Market close tomorrow. You'll hear some of us give some ideas on what we like for long term, and some discussion on, you know, portfolio things, anything like that, Q&A kind of stuff. I actually don't even know the format. It's going to be...
Well, I think it's Q&A. You guys have questions. We're going to be ready to answer them.
Yeah,
I think we're just going to lean on some ideas for the long term. But if you guys just pepper us with questions, we can just sit there answering questions.
Yeah.
The market's not going to be... I mean, Toronto markets are open, but...
I'll be trading.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's open, and there's Europe is going to be open as well. So there are trades to be had, but for the most part, we're just going to be there for you guys. The market's at the lows and trying to make a little bit of a bounce. I've got my trail on Mara. I got a trail on Mara, and here comes that Qubits. I keep saying Qubits.
Yeah.
D-Wave, QBTS. You know what I mean when I say it. Bit of a reversion, double bottom through $5 on QBTS and Rigetti. I almost put our VTI. Rigetti now double bottom at $9 and trying to reverse this trend. So there's that trend line. Rigetti is now held a low at $9.18 and trying to close above the trend line for like the first time. Well, you guys can see the chart. I mean, obviously it's bleeding down 48%, but it's making an attempt right now for the mean revert.
All right, let's just keep on going then. I don't, other than that silo trade, if you guys have anything in the chat, that QBTS, it didn't really get to my levels. We just talked about maybe buying some Tesla upside right there. Sorry, for an upside, but buying that downside dip. It looks like it does hold pretty great at that 200 period moving average. So we're kind of just like waiting to see what winds up happening here with Tesla. But for right now, yeah, downside push into those levels. Market, again, we've already zoomed out, bounces off of some of that. We could look at the DXY maybe to see if there's anything going on there. IBIT, I mean, crypto not really moving. I see some people there asking us about MSTR or whatnot, but for right now, it doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot is happening in crypto land. I mean, I've been now down at 1.2%, so not much going on here in that space, but still something anyway.
95 holding.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So maybe 54, 50. I mean, the bottom, if you're looking for a hold, maybe in crypto. So that could be something there on IBIT coming back into $54. So looks like now it might want to go. So
Wow,
some good levels to dip by there on IBIT for sure today. So yeah. I like that 95. I like the 94. The last time I bought was 94.150. That was pre-Christmas. We probably got into there again. But for right now, holding those levels, I'm not that nervous about it because it is what it is. But at the same time, yeah, crypto's been going to the downside. So I think there's enough to be nervous there. Okay, Adara with small cap recap. Let's go.
The small caps are certainly headed to the downside, 1.5% to the downside for the Russell 2000, actually breaking below, excuse me, that key previous support level of 220 that we chopped around most recently last Thursday. So clearly some weakness here for the IWM, bit of a rounded top here on that 15-minute chart. VIR, one of these small caps to watch here. This one, Vir Biotechnology, announcing that they're basically going to be presenting, excuse me, some initial phase 1 data from one of its trials. They have about a 7% short float. Next up, we have CURR. This is Currents. This one has been falling pretty repeatedly, but bouncing really nicely, still up 200% and near day's highs, but be warned, it is extremely volatile. Debuting their seamless AI call center solution. So any AI-related headline, a great look. CURR to the upside. This is Equinox Goldmine, EQX. This one, a little bit less volume, just about, I think, around 2 million shares traded so far today, up around 7% right now. They announced yesterday after the close that they've extended their Fazenda mine life by 7 years. So EQX, bit of a small cap gold play on watch with about a 4% short float. Back to you.
A 4% short float, eh?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you like Bitcoin, sometimes you don't like gold. And it is what it is. We'll get to NVIDIA in a quick little second.
I was thinking about buying some gold.
So I did a change of, usually if I take a mean revert, you can see the trend line, it didn't hit save, so it's not there anymore. But there was insanely heavy tape at $10, in front of $10 on Rigetti. I got in, saw one look at that and was like, no, this is very different. I don't think you can put these in this category. There was not it reverted trend, but there was no panic bottom. Until there's like a ridiculous, huge volume candle, reversal candle, breaking the low and regaining, like that kind of thing, to me, should be the reason to get into some kind of a long. So I did jump in and just going to jump out of it. It didn't feel right. Like if you saw it get to like 990 and then you watched the level 2 in the tape, let's just say that everyone and their mother was selling shares and there's no need to be long in front of it. NVIDIA is bouncing off the low. It's a failed breakout setup here. So fail break, looking for a continuation after the fail break. So pull back into VWAP and then the VWAP short here on NVIDIA. Beer producer just said IonQ did it, right? Not exactly what I would be looking for. It's kind of like a bottoming tail at the 27. The volume isn't a big panic volume candle though. I think, you know what? I want extreme evidence that you made a bottom on these. How about that? Like it can't just kind of look like a bottoming tail. It's got to really look like one. Otherwise, no point trying to fight these names.
Oh yeah, that was
like it's.
they're still going.
I just pulled up a weekly chart on IonQ, oddly enough, because I think at some point there's going to be a huge opportunity here. And if you do that, IonQ, it's crazy to say, but like $20 to $21. That is the initial dip after it broke out here that's November, and then that's that prior high. So there's, like when you look at the daily chart, there's a lot of room to the downside on these things, like a lot. You gotta be careful. I want some real evidence that these are dead. I don't think it's there yet.
Well,
or not, they're done being dead, I should say.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no idea about what's going to happen now. We're going long right now, though, so let's go a little bit of a face slap and see what winds up happening now with OKLO. So we are now long on that name into 36.25, just going down to the low of the day. When I said that there was going to be a name that we wanted to buy if the market did go down and there was some nuclear talk. So we're going to go nuclear a little bit here. Start to get some out now on Oklo. There it is again, Neil. Another one. 30-cent winner right there. Shout out to Max. But there is another 30 cents there on OKLO. So, I mean, again, you can see the different styles. Trading a little bit more sort of these kind of like faster moving names and just trying to scalp them out as we go. Watching out also for our good friend AMD as that continues to go lower as well. We are covering AMD though. I mean, that just 120, like we got 120.80s right there as it just bumps up another dollar. Like that was $1.02 and change right there. We only have like 5% left of that trade. Okay, look, for Oklo, I'm taking out a little bit now. We're out of probably about 15% right here. I'm offering 68. Okay, that's strange that it just stopped there. We did not even get filled, so that was me there sitting at 68, offering that level. There it is, okay. And now the next level there, 94s. There it is, man. It's another one. Well, props it up. Good talk today, good trading today, as there goes Oklo. Nice move once again back there to the upside. Again, we just switch over to a quantum name, and it's a banger, Neil, right there.
Oklo, no, that's you said it before, it's nuclear.
Yeah, that's right, nuclear, yeah.
Look, I get it. Though both those spaces they've been parabolic movers. So there's been some sympathy, like when one bleeds, they all bleed because they've all been going parabolically to the upside. They don't always go up together, but they certainly have been known to come down together as well. So I actually haven't checked my SMR today. Probably a good idea to do so. So Mara did this test of the low of the day. There's the break of trend. Break of the trend and then trail to the I used this bar, but I probably could have used that one there and been out at 28 instead of 31. But we're out of MAR and looking for VWAP. At the same time, Intel just went green. So we're jumping out of this. This is actually holding VWAP. So all of a sudden, this looks a little bit, the only thing weak about it is that you've still got a ton of overhead resistance here at 2030, but it just held a higher low. I do still believe in NVIDIA as we're trying to push back into VWAP. That overall setup where it tried to break out, failed the break of the high, or at least rejected the break of the high and trended back down. I'm going to look for a push into VWAP or a trend break to short NVIDIA. I haven't traded NVIDIA yet today. I thought I want to be extra patient, didn't want to chase that long, wanted to see if a short would actually set up on the stock. And all of a sudden, as the market gets to VWAP, or the NASDAQ gets to VWAP, NVIDIA is underneath it by a hefty margin. We're going to look for a trend break or just back into VWAP for the short there. All right, what's going on in those quantum names again? Rigetti is starting to go a little bit. Not much, but it's starting to go. It might be the beginning of something, but it can't pop more than 20, 30 cents before the sellers come in.
Yeah, that's the thing about Rigetti. I mean, I'm not the same thing here.
Any of them,
with,
really.
Yeah, with Oklo as well. We took some more outs up there at the 70 level. So now we actually only have half left on this name as it comes right into those levels again. We already nailed it. We've talked about support and resistance and how key that's been. Well, this $27 is pretty good. So we'll go long there at 25s against 26, and then we'll see now. We'll extend our stop a little bit more now that we've taken out some profit here. But into this play, again, like the stock at these levels and think that we can get away with it right now. So we'll do that on Oklo, see if it can extend out a little bit higher. I'm waiting in the 80s now for another out. Hopefully that will come through for us on OKLO, and we'll see what winds up happening there. Okay, and then AMD, we've talked about it, so let's move on to something else. We've really liked the TQQs to try to short the NASDAQ. We've talked about looking at the market instead, of course, of individual names, and we might have just missed it right there into the 200 period again. The thing is, it hasn't been that great. So I kind of want to avoid, but I kind of got to look back at this because like the 50, the VWAP, the 200 are all at the same level here. So I don't really know what that's trying to indicate to me right now, but it just failed off of it pretty good. So TQQs goes to 80.20 right there and then falling back in. So everything is working out just perfectly right now as far as looking at some of these lines, but I mean, it hasn't been that great. VWAP on the futures, we talked about that, right? It was pretty choppy there. We'll see if we can make the run back. The TQs, of course, is a triple levered ETF, so I like to trade that. All right, Oklo now. I'm going to get another piece at 52. We'll just join this party there. One little bid, and we should be able to get another piece out, but you are fading back. We've talked about getting out of half of that one. Thank you so much in the chat, whoever. Someone just said that that was a great call on Tesla bounce. Thank you. But like I said, you know, you got to take the trade. And I talked about this with Obi yesterday. You know, Neil and everybody. I talked about Neil and Brendan yesterday too. It's like we could talk about all of these lessons and everything like that. I love filming these extra reels. Go check us all out all over the place right now. Instagram, Twitter. We have a new Twitter research page and all that. But this isn't in the wild right there. We talked about it coming down into the 200 period. We also talked about the short over under at 400. So it's like these are trades that we're making. This one was a loser. Well, actually, this one was actually, I'll have to find out if we made or lost on this because we did have a nice break. But there's like inaction right there on Tesla. And then there it was again on the 200 period moving average. So, you know, we don't have the trade, but there is a trade there anyways at some point. I think for me, this basically worked the same as yesterday. We talked about what AMD did yesterday, and that's why it's the most special, because here it is downside. There's the retracement right into VWAP, right into the 50 period again. There's the retracement into VWAP. So if you're going to look at what we did today, it's virtually the same thing, except for we joined the party at 123. Then we used the pre-market low of 123 to get these trades. And then there's the pre-market low corresponding with VWAP. So this is not like, let's look back at the trade. What did I miss? What could we do better next time? This is live taking these trades and really just pointing them out. And I think that even if you take them or you don't, just for myself too, like it's great to see this work out like that, because then we get more and more confidence for next time. And no matter what you've made or lost today, next time is what's most important, because it's the next trade. You could have made $10,000 today. It's what are you doing the next trade, because that's already in the past, right? So that's important. So we'll wait to see what our next time brings us here on AMD. But for now, we are at a level that I think I'm going to cash a little bit more out. So cash me outside on AMD right now, and we will bid some right now and see if we can get that out as crude oil comes out right now.
Yeah, inventory's just dropped there. Oh, come on, chart. Come on. One of my charts just did the old crash-a-rooney, so I got to do that. There is Rigetti. Rigetti might be on its way to VWAP, but the other thing, and what I wanted to point out when I was drawing this trend line, I'm not going to draw it because I don't want the same thing to happen, is if you look at this trend, it's a lower high at the same level on Rigetti. So it's holding on to this trend. If it breaks it, I think VWAP, unbroken, this would be the place to look for a curl. I am favoring D-Wave for said curl. As I watch Rigetti as a bit of a leader. Look at D-Wave. It's actually weaker at this moment than Rigetti, so it's holding the trend much better in my estimation. So volume actually drawing down a little bit here. So hold on to the trend. We're going to get this little bit of a short pop. NVIDIA is not at VWAP, so I think we still want to be patient with it. I'll give this to about 540, which is this prior low on Rigetti. That's assuming we actually get filled on the offer, which has been a bit of a challenge on these SSR names. This time we do get the fill. And then NVIDIA, still want to stick with the same. Oddly enough, we didn't trade NVIDIA at all today, and it can't even get to VWAP, so forget it. NVIDIA is not going to VWAP, at least not for now. The next available pop, we'll maybe look for a consolidation and grab this 141, if that's what it wants to be, but the overall setup stays the same on NVIDIA. The next trade is a continuation short unless something extreme happens. Failed break of a resistance level in the high of the day. I say continuation. Oh, let me fix this for a second. I say continuation at least until we get some kind of a final breakthrough of this 50 period on the daily. Like if you just lose the 50 period in earnest on this daily, then you can join it and work for 135. So NVIDIA continuing to look weak. Danny asking if MSTR is a head and shoulders on the week. Well, it's perfect because Dara is going to talk crypto, and we'll come back and look at MSTR.
Great timing.
This Bitcoin is not looking great here. We are at day's lows This, to keep in mind, this 2-day sell-off began here. We opened yesterday around 102 halves. Currently breaking below 95,000, around 98, or not, sorry, 94.8. Now, there's a couple different reasons I'm seeing floated around that Bitcoin dropped. Of course, we did have that massive drop with the whole market on those JOLTS job openings numbers, which were higher than expected yesterday around 10 a.m. I'm also seeing here on CNBC, they think it had to do with the fact that there was that increase in Treasury yields, a bit of a spike, which basically led people to flee from some of these riskier assets. So it could be Treasury yield related, could be JOLTS related. Either way, this was a pretty massive liquidation for crypto. According to CoinGlass, there was liquidations of around $206 million in the crypto market in 1 hour, and a total of around $400 million liquidated in the crypto market within the last 24-hour period. We've actually had the global crypto market cap drop 4.5% over that period. So this drop for crypto is not just something on the chart. It was pretty massive, regardless of what the cause was. Now we're going to take a look here as well at what's going on in crypto as a whole. If you're guessing it's red, you would be correct. Bitcoin down about 3.5%, Ethereum down 5%. We've got XRP, BNB all down more than 2%, Solana down almost 6%, Cardano down 10%. I'm not going to read every single one. Needless to say, it is weak, even more so than the market, which is basically chopping around flat right now, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Back to you.
A little bit.
Well, MSTR, which we were asked about, that's not chopping around whatsoever. So does it look like a head and shoulders? If you're looking at it, I don't care what time frame you're looking at, the answer is a yes. Like if you're looking at today, there's a shoulder, there's a head. I mean, one is kind of slumped. It's kind of doing one of these, but who cares? If you look at it on the 15-minute, shoulder, you can put shoulders everywhere. It just looks like a rounded top in every iteration and a potential flat bottom break through 330 at support on MSTR. That makes me jump back over to, we're at 94.6.
Yeah, it's low.
Yeah, this is bad. So I still feel like this gap that's going here on Mara has to contend with where the selling was before at 18.25. So why do we want to trail it at this price? Well, $18 is here. There were sellers across the board at 18.25 for like 3 days in a row, and then it broke out. So I feel like buying probably comes in. And if it doesn't make any kind of a push back up, like if this can't get back to 18.50, then I'm just going to short the bottom end of the range through 18.50 instead of trying to wait for the top on Mara. But yeah, MSTR does look a little bit nasty if it loses 330. But first things first, market's getting into VWAP now, or breaking VWAP. So the NASDAQ's about to go to the high, and NVIDIA is trying to go into a lower high. Well, that's even more for a short setup. If we get to VWAP and the market's filling the highs, then you get to pick on NVIDIA at that lower high, which I do like. So that's the next setup here, either a push into 142 that we fade, or a simple trend reverse, which it hasn't really set up a trend. You got these, but it's not really lining up for a break of trend unless it's breaking down under 140.20. So I'm looking for VWAP next on NVIDIA. Hopefully the market's got enough strength to set it up for us. Kay in the chat just said, Sana, what's up? These guys, I'm not the science guy around here. There was a press release about them. It read really well for like a diabetes trial cure thingy they had. It seemed like really groundbreaking, but then I'm a layman. It sounded cool, but like any other small cap, price action matters. Failed high break, trend down. Watch out for this. It needs to make some kind of a base. It's looking like it's bleeding here, but I was pretty excited when I read that press release because diabetes is a big deal, but not looking good even though it's up 160%. Let's go take care of some business, I think.
Yeah, we did have that silo trade today as well. That was a trial, something with that.
Yada,
so yeah,
yada.
just be careful with all of those trades. Those are very good trades to take, especially with low floats, and how you can find out some of those low floats and some charting levels to look at. As we found that level on silo up there near that 350 marker, you can use eSignal. I would think that that would be part of the best opportunities for you and your trading experience to get leveled up with eSignal. Make sure you grab their platform today. I've been using it, since I've started trading. It's been obviously very, very reliable. And to me, we keep on talking about this. As we look for different ETFs, we've seen names start moving around, like Tencent yesterday as an ADR. But if you want to trade that and have a look at what that looks like on Hong Kong and Hang Seng market, you can grab that. We talked about Nintendo over there on Tokyo. I mean, these guys are entitlement-based. Grab all the markets in one space. Upgrade your trading experience with eSignal today, the best in the business. And again, a shout out to eSignal for helping us out here. And again, giving us all the tools that we need, and just hoping that you can join the revolution as well. eSignal, scan that QR code below. And if you need me to do any ad reads as well, please contact us in the chat. Okay, all right, we're still waiting for Oklo. We were waiting for 50s to come in on OKLO, and OKLO, it doesn't look like it wants to come in there. So we'll have to wait to see.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah, good, yeah. I'm sure it was probably pretty lame, but we did it. And all right, so we're gonna wait to see now what happens with Oklo, of course, as we, yeah, exactly. Remember to like and subscribe, share it, share the experience. Not just with your friends, share it with your family. And, because my wife is obsessed with everything. My pet probably has a YouTube account. So if you have one as well, and a pet, you go log them in. They might be able to watch us. Shout out to Belle, my lovely cockapoo as well. Yeah, watch us on your,
watch us on your smart TV.
Yeah. Marissa the other day goes, who's that guy in the midday? I was like, that's Joe, man. I told you that about 1,000,000 times. She's like, oh, she likes Joe. She was watching it. They're on the midday. And
he's
on
focused
the TV,
now.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's like, okay. Don't worry, Joe, we got you. But yeah, so she was like, oh, smart dude and this and that. And I instantly thought she meant Obi, but then, yeah, of course. Just joking, Joe. But there's Joe. Thank you, Joe. What a great addition Joe's been. So we say shout out to that. And what a great team, obviously, that we have here. Sharif will be back very, very soon. Probably just going out for a very cold walk, I would assume, which I'll be doing after this. I'll be going to the gym, which should be fun. Okay, so we missed that fill on Oklo, and now it goes back down to the downside. Like, look at that, man. It just came right into 50s for some silly reason, I guess, to be honest with you. We were waiting at 26.55 when we could clearly see that was the problem. All right, so we play this downside take. To me, this is fine. We knew this, we didn't know anything that this was gonna happen. We did take some out. We talked about having 50% left. So there's the reload there on Oklo. This is why it's important to ask us, how much do we have left on this stock? What is our current position maybe? Because you wanna know, and that's why I tell you, what I'm at, or are we red or green on a stock? How's that idea working for you today, right? Why would you want to listen to me about Oklo if I'm just putting up losers? So anyways, right now, we're going to find out if this happens. 25.50 coming into play there. That's, I believe, where my stop is. I want to give this a little bit of room. So just so you guys know, I would not even trade Oklo, even though it's a $25 name. I trade more shares on Tesla and on AMD than I would on Oklo, just because of the volatility and the lack of familiarity on this name, and quite frankly, how far you have to hold it in order to get that winner. Like if it's moving $2 at a time, you got to hold it for at least, and up to you, but 50 cents, something like that. If you're going to try to catch a 2 to 3 to 1 winner on these things, that's kind of what you're trying to do. So we're going to hold on to that. We'll trade out of Oklo when we see fit, but I was thinking about 50 cents. So the best we got was about 50 cents. So I think that's what we're trying to lose now. So 26 and a quarter right now. You guys know where we're trying to get short right there on OKLO, or get out of the long.
Guess what is dead may not die.
Yes.
And that applies to Fubo. I try to get that right. I like Game of Thrones, but man, they butchered that in.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's sometimes you have writers whose talent is adapting works that are already there,
right,
and maybe not doing original stuff, which is exactly what happened to those writers. The second they didn't have something to work off of, it was absolutely terrible, but the books are great. Fubo is about to go, has a chance to go green here. I don't want to be the guy that jinxes it, but I was looking for trend joins to the upside, and Fubo seems like it's it. What stock? There's higher highs and there's higher lows. So I like Fubo, and it works out nice technically because prior low was this prior top, double top. So if it pulls back into 515, I like that for a trend to the upside. D-Wave does a little bit of a curl here, trying to break those lows. $5 is now double bottomed. And if you're watching these, you should have an eyeball. I'm talking about the quantum names. Should have an eyeball on the others. Rigetti's making a higher low as we speak. So Rigetti not at the lows and making a higher low. This presses into VWAP, jumping out of QBTS just on pure, I guess, sympathy is the word I'm looking for. And then the last one, NVIDIA, is still trending back into VWAP, still putting in higher lows, hasn't gotten to VWAP yet. Once it does, look to be short, or if it just breaks that trend, we'll jump short on NVIDIA. I do believe it's up past 1040.
Yeah.
Let's see how the Canadian dollar is doing. Well,
Ooh, probably
the
doing
USD
great.
is the one everyone cares about.
Yeah.
Adara? No? Yes.
This is actually not that segment. This is Sector Watch. It's okay. We'll take a look here. As you can see, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 a bit directionally confused. They'll be up a bit, they'll be down a bit, and I think that confusion is really reflected in this sector board. There's a little bit of green, a little bit of red on a lot of sectors that are a bit of both. Lots of confusion here in this health technology. Pretty mixed batch here. Producer manufacturing, pretty red, though. Consumer services, red. Utilities, a little bit mixed. Process industries, a little bit mixed. Energy and minerals, a little bit mixed. It's really hard to find any sector that is actually strong across the board. The closest actually might be the often battled health services sector, trying to find a little bit of a rebound over 1 month now since the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. That did bring this whole sector to the downside due to some negative sentiments. I mean, there's a lot of negativity here in producer manufacturing, utilities, or sorry, not utilities, finance here, and also in electronic technology. Don't let that green spot for NVIDIA fool you. A lot of the names in this sector, particularly AMD with a double downgrade, are very weak. We also have technology services, Meta, Google to the downside, Microsoft to the upside, but a lot of these names, including PanW here, Palo Alto Networks, sharply red. So it's a really mixed picture. It's hard to find any sector that's a standout to the upside or the downside, guys.
Oh.
PanW is sharply red. Okay.
I still think Eli Lilly is going to be a bit of a sell up here at 800 again. I know it's up today, but only because I mentioned this yesterday and I'm doing this in my own personal account. Like, if it gets to the 50 period on the daily and cannot break it out, I'm covering again. So last time I covered was I remember the price because I did that thing where I just go I like number 22. I sold at 922.22. But if it fails the 50 period, look at this, earnings at the 50, and since then, rejection. If it does it again, why not take some out and then look to be able to buy the dip? Like if it holds on to 700 again, or if it gets down to like 580 to 600, that can be a good entry spot. So yeah, everything looking pretty disgusting. Disgusting's the wrong word. Everything looking pretty red. It was interesting to see that up 1% when I'm not overly bullish on it right now. And I go over to PanW, and then of course, I was gonna make a mention about PanW. No, it's not that. It's just if I hit enter too fast. And the last stock I was looking at was, if I look at a New York stock and try to flip to a NASDAQ too quickly.
Oh, 4%.
But Palo Alto, hey, it's at the 200 period moving average on the daily, which means in about 15 minutes and change, when we are done a morning show, I'm going to log into my personal account and I'm going to buy a little bit more Palo Alto. Now, I sold shares of CrowdStrike to dollar cost average them into Palo Alto, but I was waiting for it to get to the 200. And then every single month, until all of that CrowdStrike money is in, I'll put another 20% of that cash into Palo Alto. Just for the long term, I probably never sell those shares on Palo Alto, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, down at the 200 period moving average, if you like a stock, I like buying the 200 period, and PanW's right there.
Yeah, if you like the stock, that's for sure. We talk about that. Okay, so, we haven't had this in a minute. Okay, so quickly here, shout out to everybody that's new to the program. We have many new viewers. We're actually, like I told you, man, Trader TV Live setting numbers and putting up numbers every single day. And we want to thank all of you for joining us, and make sure you join us tomorrow. We're even here when the market's not. So we're here tomorrow. There are markets open, so we'll be discussing the markets that are open, and I may or may not be trading maybe some bank names there in Toronto and just giving you guys a feel for that. So if you guys are trading TSX stocks, we'll be probably doing that today as well. But so tune in tomorrow. All right, so hello. Today's menu is, it's been a while, but today's kind of appropriate because we've had a lot of these. All right, today is tandoori chicken thighs. I mean, I think that's going to be a winner.
Go.
One of my favorite cuts of chicken, the thigh, along with curry potatoes. I don't know, that could be interesting. I don't know. With cauliflower and chickpeas. I think that sounds really great. I mean, I'm surprised there's no samosa with that as well.
Oh, there probably will be.
There probably will.
Usually
be,
they have samosas.
Yeah, so there it goes. A little bit of Indian cuisine today, which is awesome. And that is what is for lunch. So, yeah, okay. Just really quickly on Silo. Someone, when I got out, they're like, oh man, you could have maybe held this to see if there was going to be a big runner into today. Yeah, always can always hold everything. But again, you got to have rules, you got to have outs, because then you only know how good you are based on your rules, right? I mean, because I've already made today like 100 trades. So to go over and look at them all, whatever. But this is one trade for me. This is a long there on Silo, then the long back into the 50 period, then the close. This is one idea, multiple exits and multiple entries. Generally I'll have like 1 or 2 entries. If it's getting spicy, maybe 3, and I'm going to talk about that with Oklo. But at the end of the day, you know, this is the idea for me. Get in, get out, hit the next trade. And it's been working. We've done that obviously all throughout today and yesterday and every day. All right, so we almost got into that zone where we need to stop out. So 25.65, we do get a nice little bid there now happening on OKLO. But this is not the day, I don't feel like anyways, to sit there and try to chase basically bottoms here on these kind of names. We're lucky enough to be long now at 93. We have a pretty good price. So if this can get going a little bit, I think we can probably surpass. It's only done 7 million. It's probably higher than the average daily volume, but it's still not a whole ton of volume. And we are getting nervous because this name now down 12%. And guess what? Part of the reason to get into this trade, okay, it's going to break. Now, we're already getting out if it breaks 50s. So once that happens, it's gone. And then we'll lose that 40 cents. But part of the idea behind this trade, too, was maybe an SSR bounce, but that's not happening. We did get 10%. Now it's down 13%. So SSR be damned, it is still going down. So, all right. Well, now it's time for some...
Yeah, that was my bad.
Yeah, currency. Yeah, it's okay. We always, you know, that's why I never say what it is. I just say go over to Adara. But right now I know what it is because they just told me it's Money Talks as Oklo's is out right there. So we will slap, it'll probably bounce back a little bit right there. We'll slap a fail on trying to go long. And that'll be our first red name right there today on OKLO. So Oklo, a red one in the portfolio today. All right, Money Talks with Adara.
We done any of these 4 super chats?
No.
They're talking about money. We're really quickly going to mention here CVGW. They're called Calvo Growers. They just got a short report from J Capital, so be aware of that. Also, that we have to be aware of this US dollar. I've talked a lot about that strength off of that late September low. This is around, I think we made this low on September 30th, bounced off 100. Currently, as of right now, actually nearing 110s. 109.5 was that high here from the day after, first day, trading day of 2025. So that was January 2nd high. So right now, our high of day here around 109.35. Currently, trading just shy of 109.2. So we'll have to see if we get that breakout for the US dollar. We did get some pieces of economic data today. Nothing that moved the market to the extent of that higher than expected JOLTS number yesterday. But we did get here lower than expected ADP employment change. So 122,000 versus 140,000 expected. We also got a lower than expected initial jobless claims print. So that came in here at 201,000 versus 215,000 expected. CME FedWatch tool basically the same here. It is worth noting we've talked about the odds of these rates staying the same have gotten higher and higher, especially since that December 18th meeting when we found out we're going to have a much slower rate path. As of yesterday, too, after the JOLTS job openings, we're now not seeing a rate cut priced in at all this year until July. So if we get a rate cut, it's likely not going to be until July. We're going to have some months here of steady rates, and we are only having 4.8% of participants expecting a cut here in January. So let's see what happens. This is, of course, just expectations, but it's always worth seeing what they are. As of right now, we are expecting no cut in this meeting later this month, January 29th, 2025. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out our new stream tomorrow. Back to you.
Those are 4. So thank you very much, Adara. Obviously, the market's moving a little bit here, and there's a lot of names that we didn't get to cover. But we got a few super chats to go over. I want to thank Tisha Perkins for a couple of super chats. Kerr, which is a Singaporean, is that right?
Yep.
Singaporean stock. We'll go over that. And then we had from Rohit, Uber as well. And shout out to Chulri. I almost said Churley. Chulri, new member at Trader TV Live. And thank you for that super chat as well. So we appreciate all of you. So Kerr, I hope I'm saying that right, Singaporean name. It's got it's a $500 million company with a 63 mil float. It is a repeat offender in terms of reverse split drop and then reverse split drop. But I was telling Sean, it has better price to sales and better cash relative to its price than some of the quantum names. But it's still, keep in mind, it is one of those types of runners. So obviously, when you look at the chart, it's nothing rocket science to say $7 has been resistance in the past. If you're in it, not a great place to chase. Look at the reversion it already put in. It's already pulled back off that $7 level. So you look at prior highs, 5 would be reasonable for it. And a name that is distinctly different from those, it's not a small capper, it's Uber. So Uber is back in today after kind of rejecting the 50-period moving average. I don't know that you can call it it barely made that test of the 50-period, but it's going to close this week above 60, right? So on the weekly chart, that's what I was looking at last week. It's like on the weekly, this is closing above that 60 level, which to me signals along, because on the weekly, it's a very, very big level for Uber. But it is a little bit of a rejection of that 50-period and a continuation down, which is like a lot of other stocks. And it's a floodgate open kind of situation underneath that 66. So I think you'd look for shorts at the 66 level would make a lot of sense to me on Uber. But that's kind of come and gone. It's at 65 already. So thank you for the super chats, everybody. Want to go back over to NVIDIA. Still unable to get to VWAP, but now it's got a rounded top going into rounded top. So there's your, I don't know, call it head and shoulders, but there's your lower high. So I said if it doesn't get to VWAP, we'd work off of the 141 level. So now I want to play it off the 141. It just cannot seem to go. The NASDAQ is still kind of trending up here on the 15-minute. So I thought NVIDIA was going to carry us into that short. It just hasn't happened. Looks like we're breaking down on NVDA. QBTS, we're still in as Rigetti and Co. and all of these quantum names continue to trend lower. Rigetti's right back off the bottom. If it holds the low again, I'd probably look to jump out of this trade and then short the next available pop. So Rigetti looks like 9 is holding pretty well. 50% down could just be the psychological number as to why this is bouncing here. It kind of makes some sense. I mean, when things bleed this far, it's not like there's going to be any kind of obvious technical that's going to hold up on a line. So that 50% number plus the 9 even could be making some sense here. And then IonQ, which according to Martin Shkreli, if you read his note this morning, this is the one where there's the most of a there. It actually, he believes, had some value, although he gave it an $11 fair value, which is not where it is right now. It's also making a bit of a bounce off of those lows. So with the bottoms potentially looking like they're in, D-Wave continues to break the lows, but if it breaks trend, I'm out. Every time it gets back up to the trend line, I'm either trailing out if it breaks it or reloading it if it doesn't. Keep it simple. Oh, and this 430 level is essentially the 50 period. So that's a cover for me if it gets to the 50 period on QBTS.
All right, yeah. Again, QBTS a pretty good name.
Probably a QB.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that Oklo. That was a loss for us. So, hopefully we can get, some better trading there. But there goes Oklo. It does bounce back up into $26. So, watch out for that name. I think there's going to be a trade there eventually at some point, obviously. All right, AMD's made its way back. I'm not... just to wrap this up, we only have 4 more minutes left. Sharif is back. All of you would have seen him earlier on today as well. So shout out to Sharif being back with Joe. So back to regularly scheduled programming there today. So that should be fun for everybody. Bitcoin's had a nice move. So I feel like that IBIT could be something here, obviously, as it bounces off that 54 area. So that's going to be something to look at for those of you that are interested, of course, in crypto. Looks like we do get a little bit of a bounce there off of IBIT, off of 95,000. So just a level there. I don't know about, level of concern or anything like that, but, something that's been a little calmed down. And although we sit here and we talk about like how wild the day's been or how some of these names are moving around and this and that, at the end of the day, Tesla's basically, sure, we opened up 390, let's say 393, but then we just took off immediately. We've sort of made that high, made those lows, and now we're just kind of in the middle. And I look at the NASDAQ and I say sort of the same thing. We took off, we came back in, now we're just in the middle again. NASDAQ pretty flat today, only down 0.8, and the NASDAQ and the ES same way, down 0.12. We can check out what the diamonds are down now as well. Of course, that would be the Dow Jones. So right now the Dow flat as well. XLF, check out some of these financials here as we go, just to see if there's anything more dramatic than anything else. So XLF kind of the same way. I know Joe will go over some of the indexes and what's been happening over there as well. Okay, so here goes Palantir. Nice bottom again at 67. A couple bottoms there, once, twice. Absorbed it, now back up into VWAP. So with only now 3 minutes to go, this could be a trade as well here on Palantir. Maybe. Now for me, I think the market's rebounded pretty nicely. I'd rather wait for a 67 trade on this than use that bottom, that 67.91. So I think buying maybe in the quarters right here and then using that as the bottom could be a trade.
So
Interesting now that it's all the way back up to VWAP. I don't know if it's a
IONQ?
break
That was,
long or not
like I said, that was a nice
through
pattern,
this. The
double
futures are
bottom.
giving me feels of nothing.
Unfortunately,
We talked about
I was
also
watching other
the,
things.
look,
I
we were
didn't,
short. We made all our
didn't
money
catch
short.
that
Today's going to be a
until
big
it
day.
was,
But at
too
the end of
late,
it all, I don't know if I'm willing to flip long
sometimes
or
you just
add to the
have
shorts
to,
right now. So
honor your
just sort of sit on your
trade
hands.
book.
The minutes are coming at 2 o'clock. So
don't
that should
chase
be
trades
something. Oil came out.
when
You know,
you
we
miss
didn't really
setups.
cover that oil.
Hey,
move.
just quickly.
go.
I saw a couple
is
of
a very
people,
tough one, isn't it?
Petter and
Yeah,
Kyle
this is-
Burdett, both
that was,
saying
that
Nvidia
was
with a
one of the
question mark and then
painfuls.
saying what was
Yeah,
that just now on
unfortunately,
Nvidia.
that one,
Okay.
So
that's okay.
nothing. I don't see
Made
a
a lot of-
thing. There was
made a
no
lot of money
spike.
on
I don't have a
IONQ
crazy
today, so
candle.
I'm happy with
Maybe
that
it could
anyway.
be like whatever your provider it is. Maybe
All
just had a
right,
bad
well,
candle or
it
something. 'Cause
is
to me, I'm
almost,
watching Nvidia. I have it up, and Nvidia didn't do a thing just now.
it is
Like, so if
almost
you have
8
a bad
o'clock,
candle,
11
it happens.
o'clock,
Maybe it's like
Eastern
a late
time,
dark
so,
pool printing.
everybody
Usually
who
we
has
would
joined
see
us
those
on
too,
YouTube
but I didn't see anything on
for
Nvidia. There's no
trading
weird
this
candle.
morning.
There's no volume spike.
Appreciate it.
It's still
Thanks
tracking
very
just how it
much. I
was
know
before. Like I'm
Ali's
still
gonna stay
looking to
around,
short it back into
and,
141
I think,
if it gets up there.
Paris is gonna
But
join you too, right?
there's nothing wrong with asking that
So-
question.
Yep,
Like,
that's
hey,
the
what just
plan.
happened in this
Well, let's
stock?
see if
Maybe
you
we
still,
hear news on it.
better.
Maybe we see something. But
Let's see.
yeah, nothing really doing on Nvidia.
Breakfast for me. So
IBIT's trying to get
yeah,
through VWAP. So
anyway.
it's going to bring it back to
Thanks
Mar
everyone
here.
on YouTube.
I mean Bitcoin.
And,
So this is
yeah, I hope you had
IBIT
a
at
profitable day.
VWAP.
There were
That's
certainly lots of
Bitcoin.
opportunities.
I'll zoom so you can see that
Nice,
better.
Eric.
It's actually
Some of our
trending
people in
up,
the room made
and
some,
as it works
made some good
higher,
trades with
you're
me
getting the
on,
same flat
IONQ.
top,
So,
or it's not really a top.
lots
I
of
guess it's just
opportunity to
a
get in there
resistance
as
level
it,
on Mar. It's a
continue
lower
to
high out a little
stand.
bit,
Yeah, we'll
and
talk
this
to you
isn't
all
breaking
later.
it. So simply want to short
Thanks,
into this
Brian. Enjoy
high.
your breakfast.
If Bitcoin does any kind of a curl
Just-
off that trend, I would want
Cheers.
to add
Thanks.
Mara in here. But otherwise, it's just that 1840 is now held for 30
Alright,
minutes now
guys.
on
So-
Mara while Bitcoin continues to go higher. So I'll give it a shot. It's
Taurus
not
isn't
VWAP.
here
I was
yet,
waiting for
but,
VWAP, but it's showing me a
promise to
different
keep
level
you all
now
entertained.
at
How
that
about that?
1840. So we'll go ahead and take it. I just looked over. It's already 11
Yeah,
o'clock.
getting to go.
Remember, I know it's,
So
yeah, it's
we
11
have
o'clock now, Sharif.
Amazon. I'm in this long
I said it
position
1 second
here.
early. He gets on my.
The
Almost
people
got
want
done,
Sharif. They
but
wanted them
we are
immediately.
surviving.
Remember with the Fed minutes
And,
that yes, it's
Tesla.
kind of a big deal in terms of what it might mean in terms of tone and for the rest of the year.
well,
But
just
that
sitting
doesn't
around
always
where my
move the
break-even
market.
is
So we'll be
still-
back at 2
still hasn't
o'clock.
got me, still
We're not
hasn't
going to
got
come
me
on early. I don't think we come on
So
early
let's
for the
see
Fed
what
minutes. That's
happens.
usually just for an actual rate
now,
decision.
that's it.
But we'll be there for you guys. Right now, you've got the professor
yeah.
in showy
More
options
often.
Yeah.
and a heck of a lot moving on. Don't forget about
Okay,
Fubo. It's
Ali,
Fubo volume
how
as
are
well.
you?
So go get them, boys.
Hey, Paris. I'm good. How you doing?
Man, third day of a struggle. This market is so frustrating, to be honest. This week specifically.
Yep. Oh, I feel you, man. I know. I'm in the same place.
So-
It is
That is your
yeah,
boy
tricky.
Joey Dang
But
Options.
It is
as
very
well.
tricky.
And I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. Shout out to the world's greatest mod and the
What did you get
OG
into?
Darwin dancing up a
IONQ
storm
as
in the
well?
chat. My man
Nvidia
Jeremy Newman. Hey, yo,
Just was a pain
9394
in the
Sing.
ass.
Very specific, but we're going to read it as it was written.
And then
Shout out to
Tesla
Charlie
as well.
Taft,
I did
Big
capture
Dan,
that 10 point
Novak, and
move from
beer producer.
394 to
Stan O and
240,
Oxlong joining us in the chat. Shout out to my man
394
Fat
to
Figure and
402.
Mr. Longshorts. Go Red!
But, man,
I see you, sir. We're going to be
it's
trading
just
some small cap
frustrating,
gappers today, my man. We got Nakul. We got
I
Jameson
don't know
Bot
what-
Breaks joining
what
us in
these
the house
stocks
as well.
wanna
Shout out
do.
Scott H. Also another small cap gapper trader.
with
We
you
got
on that.
Fox.
Look, I got
Peace to
into
you,
that
Ricardo.
breakout
We got
trade as
Naps.
well.
We got
As
Stethizlov.
it broke
I
out
like
5
that.
minute ORB at about
Very
10 o'clock.
Eastern.
Long on Tesla,
We
didn't
got
take the
Corey
profits at
Pratt. We got
402, and then took a
Zuckerborg,
small stop
as well as
eventually.
Water
So,
Lover. I
yeah,
like water
frustrating.
too. I'm a lover. I
Yeah,
could
it
I
is
could go with that.
frustrating.
New Mexico Misfit, one of my
AMD as
favorite
well,
names in the
like
chat. We got the Piper Rogelio. We got HP Motor Cars, I should
Yeah,
say.
one of those.
Life's
Same
Interpretation and Gabriel Matthew. Shout out to Elon in the chat and
Market
Oliver
is still open.
Castaros,
There's still
FX
opportunities.
Options, Dad Trader, another small cap gapper trader. My man
actually
there,
beginning
El
to like
Sol and
AMD for
Ryan.
short
We got
again.
Mason Moore
Maybe.
and Outback Aluminum Welding.
though.
Very specific name. Ostentatious Productions, yet another specific
anything
name.
right now?
They're all good, though. We love all of them.
I
Good
am
morning,
currently
Chelsea.
Yeah,
short
good morning, my
Tesla.
guy. How was your Christmas?
It was good.
From 396.
A lot of
Did you
food.
get spoiled?
I
We'll see
did.
if
I
it-
did. At the parents' house is
Drop to the low
everything.
today.
Everything. I was telling you
Tesla
there
has
off
been
camera.
holding the
I don't know what it
393
is,
level
Joseph,
all
but
day.
the Egyptian
But let's see if it
cuisine
has a chance to
during
break
the
to the
Christmas
lowest
period
this time.
always seems to have a
You know,
lot
we're
of
doing
ground
that
beef
again, right?
and
'Cause
everything.
it's all on Tesla right
A little ground beef here, a little ground beef there. I don't know what it is.
What would you say is like a go-to
So I'm short Tesla.
Egyptian plate, like
Let's see
how
if
you
it
know
goes to
Canada we like
393
burgers?
Egyptian?
Yeah, and poutine. What would you say is something?
I told you about this one before, stuffed grape leaves, but there's
Stuffed
like,
grape
I don't even
leaves.
know how to say them in English, so I'm gonna be sounding all like foreign.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's the situation right now. All right, guys, lots of
looking at
small
this
cap
thing
gap
destroyed.
traders. We got a good lesson for you. We're gonna throw it to your boy Joey Options. We're gonna look at the sectors first, and then we're gonna jump into that lesson du jour. The poll is now up. AMD. SMCI getting clapped 4 3/4,
what else do we
4
have
1/3
here,
in the red respectively. You got Tesla
Venue,
break
what was the
even
entry
0.03, and then
on
BTC
Amazon,
continues to bleed. Those are the
me,
4. We're gonna throw another 4
made
your
the
way
big
at
move
1 o'clock.
down,
Get
then this
into the chat
indecision
now,
candle,
Joey,
then the
and
big
have
hammer, then the
your
new
say
high.
every day. What do you got, my man?
Yeah,
that big
we're gonna
hammer was
switch
my
it up a
entry,
little
and I'm
bit
still
here
in it.
today, Sharif, and I want to talk about
that's,
this.
that's the
This is the
strategy for
VIX,
the
all
reversal
right?
that I like
The
to take.
volatility
So now
index,
it's
or
mildly in
also
my
known
favor,
as the fear
just
index,
mildly. Haven't really
and we
gone
are
nowhere.
starting to head up on the rise here in the VIX, folks. So for all my options
As you
traders
see now, I stopped
and even
out on
equities
that
traders, it's
AMD trade
really
for a
important
mild
for us
profit.
to watch this
Just a little bit of a
as a
break even.
gauge to kind of the
But,
overall
that would've been
market
good, actually,
sentiment,
man.
all
We're doing
right?
that early this
So
morning.
I was like, we all know that yesterday was a
Alpha, you
tough
wanna talk
day,
about Apple
but
short?
how we can mitigate those risks. If
I
you're a
don't see a good
long
reason to
bias
short it
trader, I
do you
tend to
see a
be.
short
That's how
here?
my number
How
one
do you see a
setup
short here?
is. And so I was
very
looking
bullish and it's
for kind
consolidating.
of grab.
To
I
me,
wanted to
above the
grab a
level.
falling knife essentially, and everybody
for
knows
now,
that's
there's no
not always the
reversal
best
pattern.
idea. All right. So what I did is after I took a couple entries, I'm like, okay, I need to delve a
Tesla
little
is
deeper
dropping.
into
Let's see
this.
if it goes
And
to
sure enough, what I
393.
went and did, I
That would
wanted
be
to
my
see
first
what the
partial.
VIX was up to. And yesterday, it spiked dramatically. I forget from a percentage metric what it was up, but it spiked dramatically. And I'm like, okay, on
Makes a new
these
low,
types of
that's where I will
sessions,
exit
when
this trade.
volatility is increasing,
make money.
it can be a bearish
taking some
indicator. And I'm
here.
like, okay,
Taking some partial
this
here.
session may be overall weak. We're going to talk a little bit more about the VIX, but right after we get back from Adara.
393.50.
Yeah, I don't know if this is on your small cap gapper list here today, Sharif, but I think it is worth noting VIR because this might be up your alley. This one is called VIR
Man, what an
Biotechnology. I
idiotic
mentioned it in the
price
small cap
action
recap, but I
everywhere.
just noticed here it was still on my
That's
chart that we're
fine.
actually
2
poised for a
minutes,
nice
it
flat
looks
top
like
break
it's
on
gonna
this
go
name.
up.
In
2
terms of
minutes later, it's gonna go
I guess
down.
the story for this, they did have some positive data
this is
with
the
one of their
market. It's-
T-cell related
this is the
treatments, so keep an eye
frustrating-
on
this is the
VIR.
frustrating,
What a 7%
times
short
of-
float, I'm sure
of
Sharif will
as
have
a-
more on
being
this.
as
But
a
either way, if
short
it's
term
not
day
on your
trader.
small cap list,
It's
this
just
one
gonna
actually looks
stop
very
you so
viable
much
today for
that you'll be
everybody.
frustrated
Thank
and
you.
That's a great one,
So if you
Adair.
have made your
Definitely on the
profit,
side
if you have
chart. We're going to
been-
talk about that
if
in a
you
hot
have
second.
gotten
Did you
into
want
one
Yeah,
certain
real quick, we'll just
trades,
finish here before we
just
get
call it
into
a
your
day,
lesson
guys.
here,
This is
Sharif.
not the
So
day
as
where
you can
you
see
wanna,
here, guys, from yesterday's session, the VIX spikes dramatically and
go
then
aggressive
continues in that
on
trend.
trading.
We know that when we are on the descent in the overall
It is a
market,
tough one.
this can rise. So
looking at
use
AMD
this
for the
as
last
your
10
gauge,
minutes to
guys.
short it. Now it is
We'll
going
stop
short
on the
now.
VIX. We'll get into the sectors real quick, and then we'll send it off to Sharif. So in first place here, we have the healthcare sector, just under
Tesla
0.4%
hopefully
there.
drops to
Second place
393.
is XLB, the materials, only about 0.2% green. And then we have XLRE, the real estate is what I like to gauge it, just
short
under
AMD
1/10,
here.
just over 1/10%. And then we have tech extremely
Seen a
weak, guys.
reverse ADC
Communication
pattern, I like the
services,
way it's going.
down about 1% on the
exit will be
session.
just on the
Utilities
side
down
behind us
about
for now.
3/10, or sorry,
140.
7/10 there. And then the industrials about 2/10 negative on the session as well too. I thought
stupidly
with that
cheap
meta news
contracts,
that we
man.
got in yesterday, Sharif,
sir.
with Mark Zuckerberg kind of deregulating kind of the censorship in Meta,
So,
and then as well as
short on
adding one of my
AMD, it's
favorite
already lower
CEOs
than
of all time
Dana.
to the board, Dana White to the
Tesla,
board. So that
yeah,
was
you're enjoying
exciting to
Tesla,
see,
huh?
guys.
I'm
But Sharif's got a banger.
Joseph,
Yeah.
I mean, are we just going to let this go?
Yeah.
The Zuck,
The
you know,
Zuck,
all of a
man.
sudden he starts
Yeah.
changing his tune in the summer
Yeah.
when the Orange Man
0.1.
got shot at. And then all
Let's
of a
see if it
sudden,
flushed
you
below
know,
393.
he's community notes and removing the mods because
Yeah.
Joseph, they buy bias. They didn't have a bias before, but now he seems to know they have a
393 is
bias.
again a bias. So
And then
the
all of a
entire
sudden,
day,
your boy
393
Dana
has
White's on
been
the board.
holding
I mean,
all
okay,
day.
look, I like New
So
Zuck.
it has
I've
to
made that
lose the
very
93
clear.
for it to
You know what,
confirm.
Zuck?
Yeah.
F-boy Zuck, right?
Yeah,
like
he's
that's
got a glow
he's
up,
got the
man.
new up.
Yeah,
he's
that's
got
exactly
the
where my
throw.
stop
He's
is,
got the
a little
chain,
below
the
390.
baggy shirt. He's looking good.
Yeah, 'cause he's all,
That's
yeah,
the way
exactly. He's been training MMA now, been fighting with the big boys. So yeah, that's the new Zuck.
seems
I don't
like
mind
it's
it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I
mind
like
it
the
too
new
much.
Zuck. So.
Beantown, Patriot,
Yeah, now
biggest
it's
flip flopper. Hey, bro. You're not wrong.
Covering some
You're not wrong.
at,
I don't
393.
mind the
Let's see
change,
if it
but
flushes
you know,
below
call a spade
393.
baby.
think
Let's get right down to
390 would
work.
be a
We
good
were
target,
talking, Big Smile, if you're in the chat,
for it to go
about
below. If
these
it flushes, then
rounded
it's
bottoms,
a lot of
otherwise
buyers would
known
get trapped,
as
and
that
then
saucer
you're gonna
pattern.
see a good
So I
flush.
got to let you know again, this
393 is still a buy.
lesson is based on
They're
John
buying.
J. Murphy's technical analysis of the financial markets.
We'll
So let's
see.
get right to it. By the
I
end of
think I
this
put
lesson,
393
hopefully,
breaks.
we'll be able to understand how to identify
you were
and
long,
analyze
long.
these rounded bottom patterns
took the
in
exit on
technical
that.
analysis, of course, including key elements such as the pattern
why
structure,
it's
the
popping now.
volume profile and the volume behavior, the market psychology that comes along with the rounded bottom,
I'm just
as well as the
holding AMD
breakout
shorts.
confirmation and some trading strategies
else open
to
at the
work your
moment.
way in and out of this pattern. So let's get right to it as we always do. There he is, my man, Big Smile. Smack that ask. Absolutely will smack the ask. Obi likes that very much.
Adrian,
Even
you
with
see
his
me more than
headphones
you
on,
see
he was
your
able to hear that. I
tell
do
you
like
like
that.
that.
All right, guys, so as we always do, let's just introduce the concept very briefly from a very high level. A rounded bottom, or a saucer pattern, as it's sometimes known, is a
going on
reversal
in the
pattern.
chat
So we're
here?
still talking about these reversal patterns,
questions.
okay? We haven't left that yet.
Roy, yeah, I took the
It
exit here on
signals the
Amazon. See that?
transition from a
Not
downtrend
a full
pattern
stop, so
to
it was,
an
I
uptrend
tightened up
pattern.
the
It
wrist
is
on that.
rare, but very powerful and very high. What's the word I'm looking
There
for?
goes Tesla.
Not
Up.
consistency, but it has a high, not failure rate. What's the
Tesla
word I'm
is
looking for? Somebody help
bouncing.
me
Now
out
it's
here.
coming to my
It's,
break-even
it's,
point.
yeah.
I'm paying attention here, man.
We'll
So
see
what's
if
the
it
opposite of failure rate?
bounces and fail, or is it
success rate.
just gonna
Yes, thank you.
break
I know,
the
we go.
blanking out here. One day
So
off, all of a sudden I
393 was
can't
a buyer,
speak.
which
So
is
it has a
holding,
high
so
success rate, typically observed
nothing
over
changes
longer
until
time frames, so it
393
takes a hot
drops.
minute to form,
So we'll
and it
see.
indicates what they call a gradual change in market sentiment. Some of the key characteristics that you're going to see with these rounded bottoms, number one, is the formation takes place over an extended period of
RH for
time.
the
So you
expiry
should
for
be
the options, I
looking
just
for
trade
the
weekly
width
options.
of the
So
pattern,
expiry rate on
obviously
Friday. You can see it
including
on
to
the
the
screen
height,
here.
because the height's obviously
January
price
10th
based.
is the
But
expiry, so
that's not the only thing that we know it for. It signals what the book terms a long-term bullish reversal after a prolonged downtrend. So one of the key things that we always talk about in pattern identification is the identification of the trend that precedes the pattern. You got to
interesting.
look
There
at
goes
what the
Tesla
hell
now.
we were doing before you
Yeah,
saw what
Tesla is
what
going
you
out.
perceived
I'm
to be
out
the pattern.
at
It
break even.
makes a big difference,
No.
especially for these reversal patterns. There's got to be a trend
about
to
to get long
reverse,
again
okay?
on this,
So
but
just because you
it's
see a
not,
rounded bottom,
not
it
in my
doesn't
trade
mean
book.
that it's sound. It has to be preceded by a
Indeed, going
downtrend.
the
And
other way.
conversely, of course, the rounded top needs to be preceded by an uptrend. So this is kind of what it looks like over there. And you don't really have the length of time denoted on the bottom, but the
That might be
point
the
is
long.
to see
Yeah, Nvidia
a base
is-
form,
Nvidia
and then
interesting too.
incrementally we start making those
I'm
higher
long
highs and
Nvidia.
higher lows,
I'm
and
long
kind of giving
Nvidia.
you that saucer
Let's see
bowl
if it
effect, okay?
pops.
So the structure and formation of the pattern, let's talk a little bit about
140.50
that.
is the
So the
resistance.
rounded
We'll-
bottom
we'll
appears,
see
as
if
you
it
just
lifts the
saw, as a
resistance.
U-shaped curve, reflecting the gradual decline in the price, a stabilization, which is the bottom of it, and then a gradual rise with these higher highs and higher lows. Unlike, though,
Nvidia
the
looks
sharp
good. It's not a
reversals,
precise
this
setup from me, so I'm
pattern
not gonna take
unfolds
it.
slowly,
Not now,
hence
at
why
least.
it's always said to be taking place over a prolonged period of time. The key aspect of this structure,
that one
first,
for
you got to have a
140.50
downward
resistance
phase.
needs
You
to-
got to make the left side of the bowl before you can get out of the bowl on the right side. So the downward trend phase, the market initially declines
Let's see if it does
with
that.
diminishing momentum. Then you get that consolidation phase, right? The price flattens out at the bottom, making the bottom of the bowl, making the patterns marking, I should say, the patterns midpoint. And then the uptrend
Joel,
phase, where we say getting those
I haven't
higher
used
highs
this
and higher
strategy on
lows.
any other
A
tickers because I
slow,
don't trade any other
steady
tickers.
rise
I'm
in
sure it'll be
prices
fine.
indicates to you a shift
reason why it wouldn't
from
work.
bearish sentiment to kind of indifference with that consolidation part to now bullish sentiment as we make those higher
Okay,
highs
I'll have to
and
get
higher
out of
lows.
that
And that's
NVIDIA
kind of
now.
what we're looking at over here. You
Okay,
get a
now it's
big
not.
move down,
Actually,
initially
somebody
supported by
bought at
big
140.
volume. You'll see that aggressive
we will
selling
see if
there.
it has a
Then the
continuation.
volume typically drops off, and we don't really
I'm adding
get
more on NVIDIA.
any
Let's see if it has a
discernible movement
continuation.
in price. Then the higher highs and the higher lows start making their way onto the scene over here, and then that's when you get
buyers.
a gradual increase in that volume, culminated obviously by a larger volume bar there. Okay? The volume behavior, as we just kind of prefaced, volume plays a critical role in confirming the validity
about
of a rounded
Microsoft. I've
bottom
been looking
pattern.
at it all day.
It typically, I should say, follows this trajectory. First,
Might be an
you get
opportunity here.
declining volume. And you get declining volume during that downward phase, right? And the flat base, showing
So NVIDIA is
reduced
looking to
selling
pop
pressure.
up.
Then
Let's see if it has
you
a
start
momentum
getting
to
a
pop
bit of
up.
an increase in volume here. What is this all about? As the price begins to rise, signaling the accumulation of and renewed buying interest. We've talked about this in the past. These accumulation and distribution patterns, if you don't
Okay,
know what they are,
boom.
a quick
It popped
YouTube
up.
search on our homepage will
Very nice.
help apprise you there. And then in particular, the volume spike near the breakout confirms the strength of the upward move. And so you're going to say to me, well, where's the breakout? You didn't say anything about a breakout. Where's the top? Well, it's kind of,
So let's see if it has a
dealer's choice
pop
here.
to
You're going to have to
141.
try to gauge
141 would
where
be
you
nice.
feel the bull or the
140.50
rounded
is
bottom
still a
started
little
forming.
bit of
Now,
resistance.
it may
There's a
not
little
be
bit- little bit of
very
selling.
clear
That
at
has
the
to
outset.
lift.
You may need to do a multi-time frame analysis for that. But let's just,
For it
for
to
our
go to
instances right now,
141.
talk about this rounded bottom as having began over here. We start making lower lows, lower highs. We definitely get a flat
that's a
bottom
good
there
one.
where it stops making
There you
lower
go, Carson.
lows.
You're getting
And then you'll
reversals now.
see that the downward move was supported by volume. But once we got into this accumulation
I
pattern, we
suck
no
so
longer
bad
made
at
any lower
reversals,
lows.
it's not even
The
funny.
volume started dropping off. Then, lo and
but
behold, we
this
start
also
making
I'm
higher
gonna
highs
stop-
and
get
higher
stopped
lows,
out
getting out
because
of that
this is
consolidative
not
phase into a
going
more
anywhere.
bullish trend. And
There's
then
still a
that
seller
ends up
at
getting
140.50.
supported by the volume as you see the volume bars tick up incrementally there. So you should be getting, number one, increasing volume as we
pops
get out
up
of that
or,
consolidative phase low. And then you should have even more volume on the break of the neckline. Now, the neckline is going to be
getting
the
interesting
area where
too.
you perceive to be the beginning
see a
of the
setup, but
rounded bottom. For
is
our
interesting.
purposes, looking at this chart, it's going to be over here. So you will be buying in and
AMD's
around
going
here.
against
Now,
me. I might take
sometimes you
that
get a
off.
consolidative phase like we did. So was it immediately breaking through that neckline? That's what we call a cup and handle
very
pattern.
close to my
So with
stop now
this,
on AMD.
the bowl being the cup
actually,
and
it's a
then the
bit long.
sideways consolidation subsequent to
long
the
on
forming
AMD
of the
here.
cup, that's the
I'm in
handle.
a short
And they're
position.
kind of part and parcel of the same pattern. Sometimes you get the breakout through the neckline.
take this, let's
Sometimes
see.
you waffle sideways
Have a
for a
quick look
hot
at
minute,
this.
which is the handle part of
seeing
the
a double
saucer
bottom on
pattern there, or the
AMD.
cup and handle, whatever you want to call it. The point of this is to look at the increasing volume
really clean, man. I'm
as
not
we
gonna take it.
form the base and start making higher
too
highs
messy.
and higher lows. So the psychology of this
Still in the
pattern
short,
can't be
still on.
understated because there's a reason why it looks like this, and it
stopped out
has a
yet,
lot
very
to do
close
with
to it.
psychology. So the rounded bottom reflects the market shift from
It's tempting for a
bearishness to
long, but it's not
bullishness characterised by the gradual
look at
change in
Microsoft, guys,
sentiment.
that went
First, you
short.
have an
I was
early
thinking to
downtrend.
short
We
it a few
talked
minutes
about
ago.
that. Traders are pessimistic. It leads to
not a
selling in the
perfect
market,
setup,
obviously.
that's why I
Then
didn't take it.
you get
But
that
there it goes.
consolidation phase at the
double
lower
top
end of the
pushing down.
pattern. As prices flatten, bearish sentiment starts to wane, and buyers begin to show interest. And then after the consolidative phase we just
There
saw
goes
on the
AMD
chart,
now.
you get an uptrend. This confidence builds slowly with buyers pushing prices higher, signaling market optimism gradually
Alexander,
coming
for
in.
This position,
But
the
this
buying power,
slow shift should reflect
see.
an
Let's see what
accumulation
it's telling you.
phase
You know
where
what?
the
I don't trust the
smart
buying
money
power indication
starts
here.
gradually
Oh, that
entering
was
the market. I
messaging.
hate to use that term smart
telling
money
me
and dumb money, but you know that's used by a lot of people. The point is to tell
the
you
math. Sometimes it
when
doesn't
we
add up.
form that bottom, at the bottom of the cup and handle or the
look at it,
rounded
you know,
bottom
it's-
pattern, that is usually the area where bigger money starts to accumulate their position. They don't like to tip their hand by having the price move up too quickly. Basically, you'll usually see a little bit of a range, say a $10 range, a $5 range, or
man,
whatever,
AMD.
or a slight
I really might take
upward
this,
channel
actually.
with a
Now it's getting
very
even
kind of like
better
anemic
than when I looked at it a minute
angle to
ago.
the high side. And so the psychology, again, kind of reflected in this infographics, quite simple. Initially, number one, gradual decline and increase in volume. Then you get the rounded bottom shape. 3, you got to keep your eye on that volume analysis, and then
Nvidia is
boom, 4,
just
the resistance
grinding.
breakout through the top of the rounded bottom there, or the cup and handle, whatever you want to call it.
And I'm really tempted
So the
to go
breakout
on AMD
confirmation,
long,
important
maybe
here as
Nvidia
well.
and
So the
AMD
most
go together.
critical point of the pattern is the breakout. I don't happen to agree with that, but that's what the book says, which occurs when the price rises above the resistance
reverse this
formed
position.
at the beginning of the downtrend. So the key factors to watch for the breakout confirmation is number 1, resistance level. This formed near the start of the pattern, as I just alluded to. Then you get a breakout of that level on volume. Underline that, on volume. A surge in volume when the price breaks through resistance confirms the validity of the reversal. And then a proper breakout should be accompanied, as I mentioned multiple times, with high volume, signifying that new buyers, not the same people, but new buyers are entering the market
I need
and
to stop the
pushing this
Benzinga.
bad boy up. One more quick thing over here. We're going to talk about the trading strategies, but this is the point to kind of give you the idea that it's sometimes hard to identify where the neckline is on the rounded bottom,
so the absolute
because
worst of the lot today is Tesla.
it really
CHS,
depends on where you
CHS
feel
their
the
results.
downtrend began. Here we already had a
companies
downtrend that preceded the rounded bottom. So for them
244
to choose a neckline over here, in my humble
Sorry.
opinion, a little subjective. Okay? So the trading strategies here. So once the pattern is identified, you're able to ID the downtrend that
Nvidia,
preceded it, and then the
I am
rounding
waiting for
effect,
you.
and then the break of the neckline. Traders can develop strategies to capitalize on the bullish reversal. Firstly, your entry point. How are you going to weasel in? You want to enter the trade when the price
Everything
breaks
looks like a
above the
screenshot on my
resistance
screens right
with
now. It's
strong
so
volume. Then your
stuck
stop loss
against
placement
stagnant.
equally is important. A logical
Yeah.
stop loss a logical stop loss can be set just below the lowest point
very
of the
tempted to go
pattern
long on a
to
few
manage
different
risk. In
things
other
right
words,
now,
at the bottom
but
end of the range. And then your
it's
price target. Same thing here with the measured move that we've done with other reversal patterns. The target price is often calculated by measuring the
NZ,
vertical
no, I did not go
distance
long on
from the
AMD. I put
lowest
on a
point
short
on the
a while
rounded
ago, which
bottom
is not
to the
working at the
resist to
moment.
that
I'm tempted
neckline
to
break,
reverse
and then
it
you're
and go
taking
long.
that dollar range from the lower
let's
end
see.
of the rounded bottom to the neckline break,
sitting
and then
on it.
you're projecting it up from the neckline
Yeah, I'm out of
onwards,
Nvidia,
and that's
guys. I
where
don't
you
like
should
it.
have your initial
like it.
profit taker there.
it's just-
All right, guys, we have a
with
couple
that
of
kind of a
more
volume, it's just doing nothing.
things we have to go through over here, but we're going to take a quick break, and we will return to this in a bit once we do a little bit of trading. What do you got over there, Joe?
Yeah, dude, I got slacked, as you would say, on some Microsoft here. If we can pull up my chart, guys, and I mentioned it in the
it's been a
chat.
struggle.
So what I did essentially here, folks,
not
was I was
something
looking,
that
I
is
was,
like you can
and
clearly
we said this. I seen somebody, sorry, in the chat say this.
this
I
is-
should stop anticipating and look to participate. Well, here we are.
Alpha
Here I
here, you wanna
was
know about
kind of
Amazon long
anticipating
now?
this high-a-day break. Here on
It's
Microsoft, I've seen that Apple was
possibly
moving
interesting, but
significantly
realistically, it's
stronger
not clean.
than the
It's got
rest
that
of the
double bottom
market.
to it
And I'm like,
at the
okay, I
level,
like
it can still
MS,
grow.
Microsoft's
But you see this big
price action
wick
pattern here.
hammer?
Let me see if I can play
That's
the
actually
high-day
indication
break.
for a short.
And sure enough, it just
might
absolutely
take a
failed.
short,
And
but
I was so late to get
it's
out
all
of this
mixed up. It's
trade.
all
And I
confusing.
mentioned it
This
to you
area,
guys
I can't
in the
tell if
chat.
it's
Just
long or
got
short.
smoked
Because
on
look, it
this
looks
one.
like a long
And then
1020,
same thing. I go for my
1035
VWAP
looks like a
trade,
short.
and then it just
now
does
just 'cause
this
it's pushing
liquidity
up
grab
doesn't mean
and
it's a
is
long.
now trading higher. So
So,
a tough
you know,
look
you really
on
gotta watch it.
Microsoft there. And
Man,
you
that
know what?
Nvidia
It's
had
funny
to pop
because
up
we talk
immediately
about
after I got
NVDA a
stopped.
lot, and we talk about Apple a lot, Sharif, but I
took a
feel
stop
like
too,
Microsoft is kind of
AMD,
just like
and I might
that,
actually
the
take it.
black sheep of the top three, really. No one really
it's
talks
not there.
about Microsoft too much.
Okay, so no
sometimes
positions for
being
me now,
quiet is
guys.
good. I like Microsoft. I mean, but
got a good entry there
not the
for us
best
on Nvidia.
intraday trader at all times.
I got
and it's
out.
not the
I
most
got out,
popular
man.
trader
I
as
got
well,
out.
too. Only about 3 million shares traded on the session, just a
I
little
am
bit
not in
over
a
that.
trade. I missed
So
that
again,
boat.
Microsoft, I did like the
Now
price
it's going to
action
much better.
on it.
The second
Unfortunately, the
I
trade didn't
got
work out.
out and
I
it
should have
went
got it out of Dodge significantly sooner. But I mean, here we go on the
Yeah.
Qs, Sharif, starting to break out as Nvidia is
really
starting
wanna
to
go
climb a
long
little
AMD.
bit
I keep
higher.
saying
I'm
this for
in
the
that
last
right
15
now.
minutes.
We'll talk about Nvidia
not
shortly. Sorry, but again, this was a garbage pie
is
at the beginning of the session
can't
here.
trust AMD to have a
Just
good,
a lot of
solid
chop, a
move.
lot of overlapping
Nvidia,
candles.
I would
But
trust,
now
but
we're
not
starting to
AMD
head
right
into
now.
these key resistance zones. Let's see
I
what the
wouldn't trust
market
Amazon
decides
either,
it
no
wants
way.
to do. We now have an indecision print on the 5-minute on Microsoft that
now
I'm
nothing.
I have my eye eyes on now that I kind of like, just below the volume weighted average price, because we have been trading above the volume weighted average price for the majority of the session here.
Donald,
so I'm kind of looking for that
AMD,
elastic
it's,
effect here
here, have
that
a
I
look.
tend to say about the about
screen
VWAP. So
going,
let's see
but,
if we get a little bit of
you
a
know, it's
bounce
been
here. You
very
got
weak
something
all
cooking
day.
up there too
No,
right
I'm
now.
doing it.
Oh,
I'm
okay, okay.
flapping your
Double
elastic
bottom.
effect.
Not
in
at
there.
all.
Yeah, you like that one. You
Yeah,
like
I
that
do.
one.
Pushes
Yeah,
Pushes
all
up
right, I
here, but
appreciate that.
pushes down
Appreciate that, my
again,
guy.
sort of an ABCD kind of
But yeah,
pattern. Then it makes
smoked
that
on
bottom, finds these buyers, and
Microsoft to
goes.
start
It's, you know, it's
the day
good.
off,
It's
and
almost
then
there. I
as
like to
well
see
as
it nice and
IBIT
clean,
too.
like we were
But
seeing
let's see
earlier
what
on,
happens with the Qs. Are we going to be
on
range bound?
IQ,
We
yeah,
know that
this
yesterday
double bottom
was a
made
hefty
sense.
bear
Just
day.
nice
It was
clean
a
pattern.
tough
Didn't
session
work. This is
for
the
the
setup I
Bulls.
look for.
Said that on Twitter
AMD
there,
doesn't
folks. But
have
sure
that.
enough, here we are.
And the same thing with Amazon.
Going
it
to
just
test
doesn't
some
have
key
that
resistance
clean
levels. If
candlestick
NVDA
double
decides that
bottom
it
pattern.
wants to catch someone up
Double
a
bottom
bit
is not
and
just two
continue
bottoms,
to the
it's gotta have a nice
northeast,
shape
I
to it,
think
too.
it's going to drag the Qs up with
that's
it.
what I'm
I
really
mean,
looking for
it
before I
got
can trust it to
really,
put my money at
really
risk.
took a beating yesterday behind the woodshed, as some would like to refer it. Yeah, and just took a beating, down 6%
now looking
on the
weak, so again,
session,
I don't
folks.
see a setup
So
for the
let's see
short
what
term.
NVDA does. We are now trading below the volume weighted average price, so it's going to take a lot of momentum and a lot of volume in order for this
Except
thing to
AMD's going
continue
up.
higher. But I think if anybody's going to do it, it's these
And
guys. But let's take a quick look, at my IBIT trade as well too before we send it off to Sharif real quick to see what he's got cooking up for everybody. Again, VWAP breakup. Thought that this could be a bottom,
interesting.
but again,
Might be able to trust
this is
Google.
where looking for breakouts is really
Bullish
key, and this is
candle, and then
what I
bullish
do,
candle.
correlating it with it from a daily perspective.
difficult.
If you look at Bitcoin or IBIT
Again, the pattern's not quite there.
daily, ask yourself, is this a breakout territory for the long? Let me know what you guys think too. Looking at this from a daily perspective,
Yeah, Dan,
are
I
you
am using the
expecting
cursor, you don't
Bitcoin
see it?
or IBIT to break out from these levels? It's
That's
either yes
interesting.
or
I'm
no.
using it.
And I already know my answer.
Not
It's
sure why
no.
that
This is
happens.
not a breakdown day, especially after we had that large engulfing candle
tech
yesterday,
stuff, you know. I'm
and
not
then
good
we
with tech
slightly gapped down and opened lower towards
All right,
those
there
key
goes.
support levels that
come
I
those
was
reversals from
mentioning
Meta.
earlier.
That's the
And then
fun one.
Sharif said, hey, this could be a bull trap. It actually took a couple days to manifest, and then now we're heading back to the southeast. So
Google as
a
well. I was
tough
just
look
talking about
there on
Bitcoin. Google
IBIT
wants to
so
go.
far. But other than that, we're gonna pack our patience, hold our horses, and wait for those setups to come to us, brother.
All right, brother. We're in Cure at 509. It's hitting 85s. I'm waiting on the north side of 6. So here we go with 90s. CURR, we got really close here to 6. There's a seller at 6 of note. There's size at 6, about a few hundred lots. Here we go. Like
Yeah,
I've made
Donald,
this
you're seeing
mistake
that
before
ABCD
where
on
I
MD.
should be
Yep,
ringing
it's
the
there.
profit
It's there
bell
if you like
near
that
the
pattern, if
dollar,
that's
but
what
I'm
you
stubborn. I want the
prefer to
break.
trade. Okay, it's
Let's
there.
see what this one does. I'm
not
packing
in
my
my trade
patience
book,
on
so
this
I'm not gonna
monster
touch it.
over here. It's up nicely off that
happens a lot, guys. You
$5
see things
level
move in the market
hold.
all
Now,
the
the
time
reason I
without
got in
giving
at
you
$5
your
is because, well, there's
Doesn't mean you chase
plenty
it. Just
of
let it
price
go.
action
Your setup will
support
come.
at the $5. Here
It's
we
not
go
even
with
moving
90s
yet.
again. Let's see if this one is able to break and take
time in the day.
6. I'm waiting. Here we go. 99s now on the ask, and then
then the market
again, we're
closes and we're back
unable to
on Friday,
take
so
it. So
plenty of opportunity.
maybe I can just take it out here and then get back in at 6. Yeah, well, here it goes, dropping again. So I'm just going to let that one cook. So I got
VDI is
stopped at a
dropping,
VIRI
Tesla is
place.
dropping.
So I'm already negative on this piece of crap over here. VIR is this one. I was trying to take it off the 10 exponential. It didn't give it to me. So I'm already negative on it, and I'm looking to do a little bit better. But with respect to CURR, we're doing well. I'm keeping my eye out on this one. Shout out to my girl Tisha in the chat, bro. She's a
Oscar,
small
you're
cap
asking
gapper
what's the
trader
point of
extraordinaire,
trading
and she
even
just let me
1%
know
move?
about
1% is
RME,
pretty good for day
another
trading.
monster that's moving up here. It's over triple
you catch
digits
something
already.
like,
it's a trade de
$100
novo. What
stock
the hell
moves
does that
1%,
mean? Why are you
moves
speaking
$1
Latin on the
day
show?
trader, that's
Because
a
it just
pretty good
means
cap.
it's a new trade that came in
$1
midday.
from
The
something that's
volume on
$100.
this bad boy started coming in
worked
right
out
at the
nicely.
beginning of the show, 11:05. It had done bupkis volume subsequent or previous to that, excuse me. It's above the volume weighted average price. This is just getting its footing under it right now. VRME is the one I'm talking about, and it's been trading for all of 25 minutes, and it's already done almost 30 million shares. So $32 million market cap. with, again, 27.5 million shares traded, an 8 million share float. And allow me a second here to see what the short float is on this. Negligible, 0.32. Couple of topping tails right now coming in on
There you go,
VRME,
Tyler,
but
1%
that's
is a good
not
one.
operative in
On
my
most
humble
things you catch 1%,
estimation
that's
with
pretty
these
good.
small cap gappers like they would be with these large caps. So let's get in right now as CURR comes back down. We're going to load up VRME on another
Yeah,
trading
the
screen over here so we can
suits
get
up
ready.
001. You wanna know about the
Oops,
ABCD
VRME. Did I hit? Yeah, there we go.
see if I can
So
find you
let's
a good
keep
example
an eye
here
out on this
today.
one. I'd like to see a 3 defend
Oh, yeah. I tried this
with
earlier.
obviously
AMD.
that 275.
So reverse
That would
ABC.
be
What
like my
starts here,
line in the
that's the
sand.
A,
So
the
we're
B
going to
is the
get
end of
in
the move.
initially
Then a
over here.
pullback.
I'm going to be DCAing
And
into
the end of the
3.
pullback
Oops.
is the
I'm going to
C,
be
and the B
dollar
is
cost
basically the
averaging
breakout.
into that
Yeah,
$3
A, B,
area. So
C,
here we
and
go.
D.
Put an
It's like a
order
little
there,
wave,
and then I'm
really.
going to set
a move,
another
consolidation,
DCA
and it looks like a
all
move.
the way down at
That's
that,
basically-
you
this
know,
was
let's
a good one.
say 282.
this. It didn't
Okay,
take the profits
and the
at the
reason I
bottom,
want to
it's
do
still
that is
holding.
because I want to front run the
And then
volume
out,
weighted average price. So we're out of the money on it right now, but that's fine. We're 10 cents out of the money. I'm getting my position in smaller here so that I can
so that's
manage
an ABCD
risk
pattern.
with the volatility that this one presents. 344 HOD, 2 topping tail candles, and here we go. We're moving on up. There, we're going to take some
Mental
profits
game.
here.
We're
Here
looking
comes a
for
third of a
15%
dollar. We're going to take more profits there.
One candle.
Okay, decent move,
Well, try
decent
trading
move. What's
options,
my
you'll see
size on
that
this one? Okay,
these
good.
things,
So then we're going to
getting on
set
these
up now in
options
the
at
low
3 or
40s to
$4,
account
you know,
for any
exit when
volatility.
it's
I'm going to set up
7
at
or 8 or something.
43s
Talking about
because the high of the
100%
day is 44.
That's
So I
pretty
do
typical.
anticipate there would
But
be
that's
an initial
options. Then again, it
rejection
goes the
of the
other way
high of the
too,
day
against
before
you.
if
If you like those big
underline
numbers,
if
that's
we
where you can
take out
find
that HOD. So zigging and
But
zagging right now.
again,
Here we
it can
go.
go
We just
against
got
you.
taken out the high of the
So
day
please make
at
sure you know what
43s. We got that fill. Now it's setting up. We're going to set up on the north side of 50 now. VRME is what I'm talking about. There goes the high of the day, Joseph. We just took out that. 49s now is a HOD. We're selling off at the $0.5. I'm
Question
going to
about
weasel
ETFs.
some more
Yeah, I do my
profitability out from
investments in
here
separate
as we're
accounts.
still holding some shares. What are you looking at?
Oh, man, well, what am I looking at? I'm getting
investments or something
getting
else.
banged up over here, man. It's a tough look. I mean, we didn't break out on the Qs. Yeah, exactly. Tough. No, exactly. Be free. No volume on these breakouts. So sure enough, we're rejecting. I showed you guys this trade already. I'm in some NVDA as well too, folks. I'm looking for that move back to the volume weighted average price. Doesn't seem to be the case. The Q's just continuing to chop around here. So a tough look here in the overall market. Let's see what can happen in the coming minutes. I mean, I think at some point that volume's going to step in. It usually, and one thing just over just time is what I'm looking for here, and what I've noticed is that
Richie, are you
before the
asking for us or
breakdown,
you
the
asking me about
choppiness
A+ setups?
it tends to
'Cause
be
we have
extended.
different
So
setups
I
that we
wouldn't
use.
be surprised if we see another leg down here.
So I
liquidity
basically
grab,
trade
just
breakouts, guys.
trading within this range,
So
looking
I'm
for
more
that
of a
second
breakout
leg,
trader.
moving lower on the higher time frame perspective. All right, so just keep
And,
that in mind. If
it's
that
usually
volume steps
more
in and we
of
decide
like
that
an
we want to
opening and
head
breakouts,
southeast,
but
I'm going to
usually
look to
it's not
participate
just the
on that
blind
front. Yeah, I
breakouts.
mean, Greg,
You
I'm
have to
in it right now. I'm going to have
the
to step
different
out of it
context
soon.
of those, like the price
Especially if we
action,
break
the
140,
multiple
then I'm
time
going to
frame
get out of
analysis and
dodge
all
on
of
this
that.
front,
So it's a
on this trade.
combination of
So,
a
and
lot
just
of things
reassess the
when you're trying to
situation.
trade an
The
A+
trends might be to the downside, so I don't want to fight them, especially after yesterday. So the continuation in that downwards momentum may be there, folks. But someone in the chat asked us to take a look
You
at
always believe whatever your
NUKK.
setup is,
Nuke is a financial
also have a
technology company. The
confirmation of that
company is
setup. So set up and
focused
then
on
wait for the
providing
confirmation
software
and then
and
take the
technology
entry.
solutions
That's
for
worth
the
waiting for. It's
worldwide
like
retail foreign
getting a little
exchange.
insurance on your trade.
$66 million market cap there, but
Whatever
what
you're
a
using,
tough look
try and
here,
find that confirmation.
Sharif, on
should
Nuke,
align with
down
yourself.
about 75% off of those all-time highs
really
there,
wanna
folks.
push
So
at
really
this
tough
point.
look there on
Looking at Google here.
NUKK. Not something that I would want to be
Still
buying
can't
all
trust
the way
it.
up here. If you have,
But it wants
unfortunately,
to go for
look
now.
to mitigate those losses however you can, or just get out of the trade, get out of dodge, reassess the situation, and then look to get back into the trade
trust
as
AMD
well
either.
too. So yeah, really tough look there on Nuke, guys. Not something I would be looking to play. And if you're stuck in it, just get out of dodge, reassess the situation, accept the loss, and then move on. I do like Microsoft still here, folks. For the time being, I like this indecision
anything
print here.
particular, Paris?
Let's see if this holds. If we break 424.30, See
I'm
you
actually
later.
short
Not going
Tesla
to look
right
at this
now.
ticker anymore.
Same
I
from
am in some
396.
NVDA.
396
Let's
has
see what
been that
happens with
seller.
NVDA here,
I'm trying to
folks.
use that to my
Let's pull it up.
advantage,
Yeah,
but it's
again,
just so
stock out
choppy.
of there. We break 140.
Yeah.
Adios, amigos. We'll talk to you guys later.
just won't
Just
let
keeps
Tesla go.
Hasta
dropping and
luego
then
on
being
that
brought
one.
back
Yeah,
up
see ya.
again
But yeah, guys,
and
continue to
again
let me
and
know
again.
what you're looking at in the chat.
So yeah, I
we'll
am
go over the
short
top volume
one more
stocks
time
again
for
this
the break
morning.
of
Nvidia sitting at
393.
the top of its class. Nothing
doesn't
new.
look like it's gonna
IONQ
stop me
sitting in
out
that
again.
second place there. Something a little bit new. PLTR in third, and then SOXL, that leveraged derivative, sitting in fourth
and
place
easy on
there,
It's been a
folks. So
struggle.
yeah,
I'm
a
gonna
tough
be
look
honest.
here in
It's
the
been a
market,
struggle for
Sharif.
the
I
past
think
3 days.
I think it's going to take a little bit of time for it to break down. But if Microsoft
I'm
and
with you, man.
Apple
Same.
decide that
Except
they want to
yesterday, it's been
head
struggling too this
northeast,
week.
then
It was
maybe
taking a
it can
few hits
drag
and
the
then
market up with it.
waiting
I
for
mean,
the
Apple was
next
trading
opportunity.
significantly higher and did absolutely nothing to the Qs. So NVDA's weakness dragging the overall market down with it. Yeah, let's take a look at Meta too, because we do know that we had that news catalyst yesterday. They're gonna. Mark was saying that he censored
still no good.
America a little bit too much now. So I'm really
Amazon,
curious
look
to
at that,
see how
popping
that
up right now.
platform is going to look in the future. I personally don't have Instagram or Facebook or anything along those lines, so I get a lot of my
setup.
news from X, which at times can just be a cesspool, unfortunately, for negative news. But I mean, hey, let's see what Zuck's gonna be up to, and I like that he's
I gotta second that though, because
Yeah,
I'm on X a lot more.
Yeah,
I know we
yeah.
have to send it to Adair, but I just wanted to chime in on this because it like once a main news headline hits, it just becomes so repetitive.
yeah.
Everybody
So
keeps.
repetitive,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I got the
Precision
point.
on
The,
entry and exit
the
for
H-1B
trades.
visa is
Alright.
popular and being
see
talked
if,
about in the States. Like, I don't want every dang comment I'm
Yeah,
looking at is about
exactly.
H-1B
You know what? Let's
visas.
look at
you know
this.
what I mean?
So-
So yeah, I
Can't
agree
believe
with
I
you.
didn't
Yeah,
take this. I was
it
with
can
my,
be tough, guys,
mentees,
but we're
and I
gonna
was
send it
busy
off
with
to
Tesla,
Adair.
I
Let's
think,
take
at
the
the time,
one.
and then missed this whole short. But on this Nvidia
The top
reversal,
movers to the upside, in the downside in
level
this
there on
market,
the
which
daily
has been
chart,
relatively
it goes
flat.
up there.
I always like to have a theme for this
Before it
segment, so
hits
the
the
theme for
level, it
today
has a
is
few
going to
small
be
candles. You see these
what
two?
tickers here have
It doesn't
been
go up
up,
there with a giant
downgraded
candle.
specifically,
It has a
sorry,
big
with
giant
tickers are
candle,
down
but
on
then small candles,
downgrades.
and then
The
it
first
hits the
one we
level
talked about a little bit, but we're
puts
going to bring
in
it up
a
one more
nice
time.
reverse hammer.
HSBC
And for
downgrading
me, after that
AMD
setup, the
from
confirmation is
buy
on
to
the
reduce.
new
So this is a
5-minute
double
low I
downgrade for
entered.
advanced micro
With the
devices.
stop
It's worth
above the
noting here the
level,
price
above the
target
previous
decreased
candle,
from
and then trailed the price
$200
down.
to $110.
And so I just
So
viewed that
AMD
trade,
certainly
and my
feeling that
exit
down
would
to
likely
about
be here at
3% right now, but
5.5,
trying to
most
bounce.
likely.
Palo Alto Networks, another
that's
one that
how
was
I do
mentioned
these
earlier
reversal
today.
trades.
Deutsche Bank downgrading this one to
on this,
hold, lowering its price
reverse
target to
hammer. So that's
190. It's
one
also
of
worth
the
noting
setups I use.
they recently split
And
their
we have
2
the
for 1, so the price
confirmation,
target
which in
decrease
this
could have
case is a
something
new
to
low.
do with the fact they had to
And the
adjust the
exit
price target. So
confirmation for
regardless,
me is the new
PANW
5-minute
to the
high. My
downside, and
exit
last but
strategy
not
is to
least,
trail the price.
Moderna. The same
So if
actually
this
had a
thing
really good
continues
last
going
couple
all the way to
days. They're running
135 or
on
something, I want
that,
to be in it with the full size.
I guess, avian flu
So
catalyst.
that's why
So
I
this
use that
was
strategy.
pretty positive yesterday. Now down though about
that's one
7%,
of them.
dancing near day's lows, getting its price target
that
cut
helps.
from 108 to 96 by UBS. Lots of downgrades in this market. Make sure you like, subscribe, and participate in our polls
Amazon
in the
and
chat.
AMD, everything's
During the
popping up.
midday, there's
Again,
always
without a
3
setup.
polls. So the first at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Those are for the rundown. You can actually vote for the 11 a.m. poll now. And basically, you pick your favorite ticker. The top 5 tickers between the 8 in both polls will be covered on the rundown with Neil and Sean at 2 p.m. And bless you, at 12 p.m., you have the opportunity to participate in the Playmaker poll. So you choose, do you think the SPY should go long or short? And that trade is taken in the sim by Joe and Sharif. So make sure you check that out. Back to the Bash Brothers.
Update you, Adara.
What was that? What was that
Tesla is
censorship
doing the
bill
price
in
action
Canada,
where it
C13 or
loses.
something
You
like
lose
that?
so much mental capital
I
watching.
should probably just take one.
Yeah,
Stop just grinding
we'll
up
move
and
on
down.
from that point.
Yeah.
But that's the
His
bill, though,
whole
right?
tenure was a censorship
Yeah,
bill,
yeah, yeah,
bro.
yeah. It was.
$1 up, $1 down,
But it was
$1 up,
C13 or
$1
something
down.
like those, right? Something like that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
In any
Absolutely.
event, here we go,
Very
guys.
draining.
I got stopped out
Tesla
of
and Nvidia too, I'd
VRME
say,
through the break of
point.
$3.
Yeah,
I'm back
okay.
in right at 304, and I have another DCA planned over here at 82. Zirko, 82 showing up. There we go. So now I have to
I'm
be
trying to
really
fix this
careful.
mouse
Anything
cursor thing
below
for
the
you guys.
$0.50, and I have to be
there's a
gonzo
setting here.
with this one. So here we go. Let's throw in the stop there. And then we're going to go like that. There we go. So let's see. It holds up at VWAP. It's already below VWAP right now. I have to give it a little bit of room. I'm talking about VRME drop in here at the volume weighted average price. Seems to have bottoming tailed at 2 3/4. Let's see if this one is able to reclaim its position or if it's going to be a V-shaped retracement. It feels like it right now
this, guys.
that it might be,
Google is what I was
an aggressive
interested in.
move
It's
up
working,
and then
but
an
it wasn't
aggressive
a
move
clean
down. We
setup.
got to have
Basically, I see a
some
level
sort
here,
of
about
area to say,
194.
no, I'm wrong. If it
breakout,
breaks
came
this
back to
trade to me,
retest the level.
that is the half dollar.
Off
We're
it
going to have to
goes
pack our
after
patience.
the
It's coming
retest.
down right now, so it
But
looks like we're going to
the
give some
way it
back
came
here
down,
on
big giant
VRME.
candles,
The one that we're doing
very
okay
difficult to
on,
take along.
still haven't,
Even
really
though
broken
after this
through
candle right here,
6,
you can see-
is
you can see the cursor's
CURR.
still
Now,
bullish,
this one
and then the
did
new
get
high
right
would
into
make
that
sense, and now
$6
it
area
really works.
and then rejected. Now it's kind of
But
put it in the bounce
not
off
a very clean
5
pattern.
and
It's
trying to
very hard to
break
trust.
up again. Now it's got higher
That's why
lows,
I
but it's
didn't
got
get
lower
involved.
highs at the same time. So I am a little concerned with this one. Don't want to give too much back. We're in
There goes
at
AMD,
509.
for those of you who
It's
took
printing
that.
5 2/3 right now. But
Well,
again,
some of
I
you guys 30
feel
minutes
like
ago,
this
I
one
might
might
take it, I
be
might take it, I might take
a
it,
little
didn't
bit
take it, well, it's gone.
being pushed a little
Some of you got that.
aggressively to the downside. Wow, VRME, what a retracement, man. Right back down we go. We're going to get stopped out for the entire thing here. Sucks to be
I'm starting
me.
to look at the meta
Bad
again.
trade on this one,
It's at
having
the level
added
I
at,
like.
what I perceive to be support at that $3 area, and then at VWAP, we have to
holding
give it a
on
little
Tesla,
bit of room.
Carlos?
I will get stopped out of this one if it
Yeah.
continues to bleed south of that $2.5
stop loss
area.
about
But back
396
into
if that
2
lifts.
2/3 we go. So I didn't get triggered for the out, but that doesn't mean we won't get triggered coming down now. So this one given back a little bit here. Bit of a tougher one on this one. Thought we had some continuity with this one really getting its footing under it
Amazon and
during
AMD.
the midday. Wasn't a pre-market
Amazon
runner,
and AMD
so you
are the
felt
ones
like
that really
this
going.
one could have some continuity,
Again, both
but
of them
they
did
don't
double
always
bottoms,
pan
not
out
clean
in this
ones.
way, and this one looks like it's going to
But
give
off they
way
go.
at that level as well. So a bit of a
Sometimes I
tougher look
wonder why
there.
my
Okay,
trade
we'll
book
look
is so
to
strict.
kind of improve a little bit on that. So
It's important that it is.
keep an eye out on this one. CURR looks like it's headed right back into 6 where it's been having a lot of resistance. So I'm keeping my eye on that one. Then last but not least here, VIR. This one is at VWAP now. So I tried to get in initially at the 10 exponential moving average. It wasn't having me. And now it is
Alpha,
back
you know,
down to the
Brent will
volume weighted
fix
average price.
everything.
It's got a 2-candle hold up right now
With this
in
tech
the
stuff.
12 low
I can see my
60s,
cursor
high
just fine.
50s.
I don't know why you guys
so
can see it. I
this
don't know
could
what's
be an
going on here.
entry here based on VWAP, but based on the shellacking that I just took on VRME, I don't want to be too quick to jump into this one. So gonna look at this one a little bit more. Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah, one thing I
what's
like, guys,
interesting,
I was
most things on
mentioning
my screen are
this
pushing
choppiness
upwards
in the
except
cues. I
Tesla,
thought we were going to break
which is a
down,
good
but sure
indication
enough,
for the
I
Tesla
grabbed the
short.
top of this resistance level here, and that volume on the lower time frame started to
Yeah,
kick
but
in,
sometimes
and we
it
got that
happens is
breakout.
it comes
Especially
late.
because we have Meta
Sometimes
trading
it
higher.
catches up.
Microsoft is now starting to
The
trade
SPY is
back
going up
towards the
too,
volume weighted
but
average price.
Tesla is
As I
not,
mentioned,
which
that
is
indecision candle
showcase
just
a lot of
below
weakness.
the volume weighted
But I
VWAP
don't
as
know
well
if it's
on
gonna
that.
give
So
me
the
right now, or
elastic
it's gonna
effect
stop
on
me out and then
VWAP
showcase
from
relative weakness.
Microsoft, and then now we have Apple heading back towards the high of day as well too, folks. So here it is, those 3 names dragging the cues up with it, something that I was looking forward to. So glad that this is slowly starting to work out for us here. Let's see if we can get this this trade to continue. Go a little bit higher. We are now testing the high a day, which there is some key resistance levels here.
I'm getting curious
So
about
that momentum
Apple
in the
here again.
volume is going to need to continue
Good
in
form
order
of
for us
big double
to
top.
break
But
through
again,
this
this is like
resistance
another
level
15 minutes
and
or
then
so
hold
to
it as support and then continue to the northeast. So that's something I got to be weary of. If Microsoft, Meta, and Apple decide that they all want to continue to the northeast, I think we're going to be sitting in a pretty position right now. So again, patience, have to be patient, allow the
Yeah.
trade to work out kind of slow cook here and see
Yeah, I
if we
did look
continue
at
to
it
the
a few minutes
northeast,
ago.
because we
I'll
know
see
that
again,
we
maybe
had
I
a
missed something.
extremely weak session yesterday. So again, a continuation to the weakness, I would
also
not be
wonder if it's
surprised.
the fact
But again,
that
a
I'm
bounce in the
sharing a
market,
window when I'm
they
doing a
always
screen
happen.
share
So
here.
let's
I'm
see if we
not
can
sharing
participate on that front, guys.
screen. It's a window.
Joe,
So,
look at
I don't know if that has any
BHAT, of
impact.
course, anything
But I
for
mean, I do the
you.
same thing with my
Let's see what
mentees. I do
Jimmy
the same thing with my mentees every day, and it's
BHAT, blue hat. Yeah, who, John?
No, you're like anything for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything for Jimmy, man. Hey, Jimmy. All right, let's see. Let's zoom out here first here, Jim.
Can't find it for now.
Tough look, man. I think this is more Sharif's world here. Blue Hat Interactive Entertainment here. I think this is like virtual reality. Sharif, tough look here, especially off of these highs. Not something that I would be
Cool, yeah.
looking to
All right, we'll work
participate
on this
in.
offline.
So yeah, a really tough look. Let's take a look. Let's zoom in here and take a
gotta be
look in
something
from the 5-minute perspective. really weak in the pre-market, continuing that southeast movement, now just forming this consolidation phase.
Alexander,
Not
no, I'm
something
not
I would
green for the day
particularly
at
look
the
to be
moment. I've taken a
trading.
few stops.
So
None
hopefully
of
you
them,
are doing half decent on
yeah,
that,
pretty
guys.
much none of them
Bitcoin
are full
extremely
stop
weak.
outs.
Let's talk about
Put on the
Bitcoin
risk
here
and tighten
for
the stop
a
and take
brief
the stop,
second.
so
Heading towards those
mildly
key
red,
levels.
nothing,
Sharif somewhere
nothing
around
falling,
around
that
this
you
day
would
was like,
call a blow up.
could this be a bull trap? And
let's
I'm like,
see.
yeah,
We're only
you know what,
halfway through
Sharif,
the
you
day,
might
right?
be right. So what do? I just feed the bull trap and decide to add a little bit here into, yeah, that's all.
feel that.
Yeah, exactly. So add, sure enough, coming down a little down
very
on the
slow.
day. A really strong engulfing candle here, folks. Going back into these key support levels, I think if we go to test these levels one more time, that they are going to be breached, and then we head back to the southeast here on Bitcoin. And I mentioned this time and time again, guys. I'm really disappointed in this move. I thought it was going to be significantly longer. I'm
Kinda
not
hard
going
to
to
leave that
rule it out
girlfriend that you like so
just
much,
yet.
huh?
I mean, we do know that Bitcoin consolidate
Yeah,
for an
man.
extended
This
period of
is
time
doing
from this previous history data.
don't know what
But
to
I was
do with
looking for a
this.
little bit more in extension here,
I
kind
think
of
it's
going
gonna
to that
stop me out.
1.25 price target, like the teens, but we didn't get that. So again, we
Now
just
it's
have to
trying
be
to catch
really
up to these
patient.
SPY,
I think the chat, I wouldn't say it's necessarily divided, but there's a lot of opinions on it. It's either we going to $0 or $1 million with this thing. So again, just have to be just be
Google,
patient. I
guys.
mentioned
So I was
before,
telling you a
this
few
is an
minutes ago that
8-month
retest was a
consolidation
breakout.
phase,
I didn't
and then
trust
our
it, but
move was
it's going.
only lasted about a month or so, a little bit
Meta
over.
wants
So
to go.
a
Alright,
little
I'm gonna
bit
start flirting
disappointed
with
in
my
that. I would
girlfriend
have
here.
liked to see some
Meta.
more healthy
Okay,
pullbacks
I
here on
all out
Bitcoin,
on
Sharif, and then we
Tesla.
head higher. But
Bad
again, we're
loss
just
on that.
consolidating, going to go and test those lows, and only time will tell what will happen.
All
with
right.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I still think, you know, we do that.
Yeah, stop out on Tesla,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
It hasn't
Wow,
been
squeezed
strict,
to
you know, in
397.
the sense that, you know, it didn't range in a $10,000 range for
Everything's
that long.
squeezing at
But I want to say the
everything's
moments that we were
squeezing.
above 100,000, it feels like that they were a lot quicker, short-lived.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
the one
extremely short-lived.
Between, you
I
know,
agree.
that between 90 and 100. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Yeah,
I think it was more like the enthusiasm. It's like, okay, we hit
Yeah.
this massive target that everybody kind of had in mind, and then everybody kind of got
they're
like
running
the
for
FOMO and
400
missing
again.
out, pushes us to 108, and then sure
Well,
enough,
if Tesla
Exactly.
breaks
pull back.
402.
All right, man. Here we go with
where I'll
VIR.
get
We're back into this
interested
one at VWAP.
for the
I've
long
taken a
run, really
few
way
outs
up
over
there.
here. I'm next waiting at 15s. It's showing me 15 on the dang
Can you believe
ask,
it? I had
but
that entry
it's
on
not
Tesla for the
crossing,
long
so
run.
I'm not getting
Stopped
filled.
out.
10s now
Didn't
on
survive
the
the
ask.
chop.
Let's see if the spread tightening up. Do we get the fill? Not forthcoming yet. Now I've layered my orders on this one. So we're going to take out 15s, or we're hopefully take out 15s. We'll take out a quarter as well if that's forthcoming as well. VIR up 66 and a quarter or 66 and a third %. The reason I got in where I did was it was a
don't know
VWAP dip.
anything
So I
about
tried
Bitcoin.
initially, as you can
I
see
don't
over
even
here,
look at it
at the
anymore.
10 exponential.
So
It gave
I
me a
can't help you with
finger,
that.
and then I had to get out of that. So then we got back in at the
That was
volume
one of
weighted average
those,
price. There
early
we go.
crypto
Now we
adopters
take out
and,
15s. We're long
toddlers,
88s. Next beak
2017
wetter.
for like
We're
4 or 5
waiting
years. That was
at
a good
that
run.
$quarter. We'll see
But
if
since
we get
then,
it there. Kind of an
I don't know anything
anemic
about it.
bounce. I don't want to
Just
call it
exited the bull
anemic because
market.
that's not fair. But the vigor with which we dropped from that 14, 13 HOD all the way down to that 12.5 felt a lot more aggressive than the move back up. It always seems to feel that way. The selling always seems to be a lot more aggressive than the buying. It's like people are panicking to get the hell out of there, but when comes time to buy, they're a lot more discerning
BLTR
figures, huh?
squeezed.
So we'll keep that on the lookout. Showing now 17s, inching into 20s on the ask.
Oh, look at
20s
that, wow.
now on the ask. I'm waiting at 25,
That's an
67% and change right now. We'll pack our patience, see if we can get that print. Here it is now, 20s. 21s just showed up on the ask as this one continues to bounce off the volume weighted average price and knock on the door of that $quarter where your boy is waiting. Now, I don't have any more orders set north of that $quarter, so behooves me to start layering some orders
Joseph, you're in
there.
AMD.
So there we're going to do just that.
Cool, you're already a
and then
dollar
we'll,
up.
we'll see if we print on it. Fantastic.
nice
If we
work.
don't, then we'll have to do a little bit better. CURR continues to compress in the sense that we are continually getting higher lows, but we're also getting these dang lower highs. The compression pattern, the textbook says compression patterns resolve in the direction of the trend. The trend is up, seeing as this thing is up 300% on the day, but I feel like we are less directional on CURR than we certainly were initially. So that entry at 5, not bad, but that print at 6 looks elusive right now. And as I watch, there's a big boy seller at 60. Can we take him out over here on CUR? It's a big seller at 60, and he's keeping this single-handedly down. Back. Sorry, I gotta manage these trades. Bang! There, Joseph. We take out that 33 prints on VIR. Now I'm waiting at 42s, Adair. Get it, Adair. We're waiting at 42s over here. Let's see if we can get that print, Joseph. 40 showing up now on VIR. Still no print there. So let's layer the orders because, well, the highest order I have is that 42. So let's throw something at the half dollar there.
One of those
And
days,
come what may.
Nice to get
so it
into
looks
a
as
good
if,
trade
you know, we're
good
going
for
to have to pack
in
our
that
patience
position too.
on that last little out there on Vieira. Shout out to Tisha. I see you, Tisha. Tisha's a small cap gapper trader. If you're into these small cap gappers, keep your eye on the tickers that she calls out as well as her levels. She knows what she's doing. She's in the chat from first thing in the dang morning, and she's looking at these small cap gappers from as early as you like. So if you like that look, keep an eye out on Tisha's calls there. And bang again, Joseph. There it is through the 40 print. Now we're waiting on the north side of 55s. VIR, baby, up 70 and change and looking to take out levels here. What's the look on your side?
Hey, yeah, we're just sitting here in NVDA, just letting it slow cook here, putting it in the slow cooker to see if we can continue and break through these key resistance levels. One thing that I want to touch on, Sharif, what you were talking about is like, how come it feels like it's such a slow grind, and then when you're sitting in this trade, and then all of a sudden the sellers step in, and then it just drops really quick. And I remember sitting at home for so long, it's like you'd be sitting in a trade for an hour, 2 hour, grinding higher, and then boom, the selling steps in, and within 10 minutes, that whole day of gains is gone, and it's like, yo, that is so frustrating. It's
the life of a trader, though, bro.
It's one of the most frustrating things on the planet. But someone told me, a good friend of mine is like, yeah, well, what happens is that the buyers are now exhausted. There's no more buyers, and then you kind of get that not full-on capitulation, but you get those sellers stepping in significantly more aggressive and have been patient, waiting on the sidelines to step in. So buyers are exhausted, and that allows the opposing party to just flush the price to where they want to put it.
But in a bit of a double top sort of thing.
Like if you're sitting here in the chat, you're trading at home, whether you're trading at a firm, wherever you may be trading, 99% of traders have experienced that, and it gets frustrating. But just understand that it's like, okay, well, we're exhausted now. Buyers are exhausted, so that allows the opposing party to step in and take control just like that, all right? So that's really, I remember a couple times, dude, I was trading at home, and I'm like, oh, this is a sick day. 10 minutes later, everything's gone. It's like, what? Oh my day. Yeah, it's so infuriating. Like, I don't know. Everybody's kind of had those days. I was fortunate enough, I always was tamed. But one time, I let my cool run loose, and I had to replace a monitor. Yeah. I mean, a lot of dudes replace keyboards, mouses. I had to do a monitor.
For me, because I was suffering through that same affliction. My move was to throw things that don't break on the slippers.
Dude, yeah.
I would throw slippers a lot. Many slippers were thrown during COVID. Right? Like when you're at home, there's like really nothing to keep you honest.
Exactly.
Right?
Nothing
to keep you calm. Like you're just kind of doing that on your own.
It's funny because it's like it's like you're having a bad day and then you break something and then now it's even worse because you got to go buy a new monitor. But I didn't even mean to. I threw my headphones in, it whipped back, smashed my. I'm like, oh, all right, here just to add injury to insult there. So I mean, tough luck. But guys, keep the cool. Everybody's been through that type of stuff. Greg V said he's seen it. He remembers that day because I'm like, oh, Greg, I got to replace a monitor here. So Greg was during on that one. So yeah, good stuff there, guys. Keep the cool. Everybody's been through it. So just know you're not alone on that front. We've all had those experiences, guys. Yeah. So guys, we're sitting here in NVDA. This breakout is starting to fail. Microsoft is pulling back into the volume weighted average price. So is Meta, and Apple is just hovering around those highs of days, folks. So let's take a look at Apple. An outlier on the session,
Just buy
positive
and
on the day
sell,
so
buy
far,
and sell.
up about a 0.5%
clear
here on
direction.
Apple. Now kind of putting in that double top, slightly alarming. Let's see if we can break
Absolutely,
through
yeah.
that. Only time will tell. Yeah, everybody's loving that.
direction.
That because everybody's done it. So it's I mean,
Everybody's done it. We're
everybody's
humans,
doing it.
you know,
We're
humans,
humans,
yeah.
so not every and that's what it does, Roberto W. It's like it just causes more drainage of that emotional capital, and then once you've had to buy a monitor or a new keyboard, you're like, okay, maybe you'll think twice about that.
Oh, yeah.
And just hold
Rich,
back a
you're
little bit.
asking
But
how
again,
long
totally human and totally
was
fine. But
the
as of
net
right now,
positive?
Sharif, I
Right,
want
that's
I'm
a
waiting
better question.
patiently
I think I
to
can
see if
answer that one better.
NVDA can kind of pick up in steam here
So net
and drag the
positive,
market
I'd
up
say,
with it.
I look at it
Sounds
on a
good. All
quarterly
right, let's get
basis.
some of
So not
these
monthly, but
comments.
quarterly.
Fubo is flying. I
And
saw
for me,
Neil
it
in
was
the
about
chat
3
talking
years
about
in.
Fubo a hot second ago. So we're gonna have to
I don't
load
think
that
it
up
should
and
take
keep
that
an
long for
eye out on
anybody.
Fubo.
I was just
They take
reckless,
$11.99 from my
and,
account every
was
week.
having a
Joseph. I mean,
divorce and
every
all
month.
that.
Excuse me.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it used to be
So
24, so
All
that's
right, that's
okay.
all right.
if you're a
That's all right.
responsible adult,
Yeah,
you're
Neil-
not
Neil-
throwing
Neil's
money at the
good
market
enough.
and you got the other shit
So in
sorted
case
out,
you're wondering why I'm
shouldn't
paying
take
for
that
this
long.
thing, because it's the only way to
Not
get the
3
Premier
years.
League in Canada. Unless
If
you
you're a
want
responsible adult. I mean, you're not
that
here to get
other
rich
one,
quick.
IPTV.
Is it I think IPTV. There's a lot of.
We don't have IPTV.
No. Never mind. We don't know what you're
Joseph.
talking about there. Yeah.
No.
I thought I was
Kyle
responsible,
Burdett,
but it
Joe,
still took me 3.5
Sharif,
years.
and now you know why I like
it's-
puts intraday. Bears
it's
wait
again,
for
it's-
longs
it's
to fall
I
all
thought I was
over
smart and I
themselves,
thought
and
I
the
was
euphoria
successful
to
and
get
everything.
sufficiently
It'll
high.
be a cakewalk
Then
of me.
we look
And will be profitable
interested.
in 6
Your
months or
point
1
very
year,
well
but
taken, my
it took
friend.
me 3.5
I won't
years.
be convinced otherwise,
So,
but the nature of buy sides and sell
I
side
think it takes
movement.
time. I don't
Clearly,
know.
the sell
You
side
have to
movement
try
a
lot
lot
of
more
things before
violent
you
and
find
a
your
lot
niche.
shorter in duration
try
to
and test
drop
your
the same
niche
amount that
in
you
multiple occasions.
increased before. So that's a bit of a tougher
have
look
some
there.
realistic
Obviously, you kind of have to
expectations.
take that
Don't assume
if
that
you
you're
want to be
gonna
a
be
trader, whether a
profitable in
swing
the
trader or an intraday trader. That
first
is kind
month
of
or
how it
third
works.
month or fifth month.
Let's give you an
It is gonna
example.
take some time.
No, just look at how Apple moved, say, from
Yeah, absolutely. A lot
240
of
to
trial and
260, and how
give it the
long that
time it
took, and then
deserves.
look how quickly it was able
Everyone
to
has their
drop
own,
from
pace
260 to
of learning
240.
and style
Pan
of
W
learning, all of that,
from
so
210 all the
worth
way
it, man.
down,
It's
and Neil
worth
just
it.
buying some in his
I talk to
long-term
him, and
account.
sometimes
Brilliant
the
move there. I
market
don't have any orders
itself
out.
is
I
such
should.
that it won't
From
give
that
you those
210
opportunities.
into
You would be
170, even
like,
below that.
amazing
So
trader,
the way that these
but
stocks
the
move to the
market or the
downside a lot
stock,
more
you're only as
violent,
good as the
and
stock you
obviously
trade, or
presents
you're only
shorts
as good as
with
the
a great
market you are in.
opportunity for some profits
So,
there. All right, guys,
a
here's
lot
the
of
look.
times
I'm
you
still
could do
involved in
everything right and still
VIR. We
turn out to
haven't
be a
gotten that
negative day.
70-something print. We're in the
And
30s
you
right now.
acknowledging
It's
that
not forthcoming.
and
I've already
relying
moved
on
up my
that is the
stop to my
key. A lot
entry.
of times
We'll
when
see
we
what goes
are
on
losing
there.
money,
Now,
we try to
here's the
change
deal.
things,
I got forced at a CUR for
just
the
because
last
we are
remaining
losing.
amount. I held only
The
one out
question
left. I
is,
got
are
stopped
you
out break
losing
even on it. But
because
look, CUR
you
is
did
not
not
done.
follow your
It
trade,
is
you did
still
not,
above the
you know,
volume
is
weighted
your
average
setup
price.
has an
And
issue
in addition to that,
based on
it's
different,
got the price action support right
analysis
over
that
here.
you do.
We whiffled. We waffled in the pre-market at 4.5. So
that's
definitely
what-
there is something there to
that's what I
4.5,
would
not
think
just
of.
because VWAP is at 4.5 on CURR, but you have umpteen amount
really
of
good
topping tail
points.
candles showing
Really
resistance in the pre-market
Very, very
at
important.
4.5. In addition to
You're gonna
that
have
as
losses,
well, you
doesn't mean
do
you're doing it
have
wrong.
good
So many
areas
things
of
you can't
technical
control.
support at around 5. And
There's so
that
many
is
things you cannot
subsequent to the
control
bell.
at all.
So I'm keeping my eye on
And
that one.
so
It
you
did
gotta,
give up
accept
up
that.
5,
You can't
so I
control it
had
and
my
then
stop
focus on
below
what you
5,
can
so I
control,
had
which
to
is
get
your
the hell out of there.
executions.
But
Your
when
entries, your exit,
as I'm
making sure you
watching
take your
this,
hits
even
when
though
you
it's
need to take them,
holding these
making
good
sure that your
technical
winners run
levels,
when
what
they
I
are
see
running.
right now
Those
is an
sorts of things. You can control that.
uninterrupted
Everything else is
downward
not in your
channel
hands.
manifesting since 10:45 and hasn't changed. What do I mean by that? Means every candle subsequent to its predecessor
happening
either had
here.
a lower
Microsoft
high
dumped again,
or a
but
lower low. So
not
we're still
trustable.
doing that downward channel. It doesn't mean that the end is in for
Yeah, Joseph, I'm
CURR. It
beginning to
just
see that
means
double
that
top,
I need
just
a
as you were saying
clear
it there.
trend change here for me to get back
See,
in.
does it make
I
sense?
don't want to have
I
anything
need it to
dip
do two
related
more
like at
things. I need to
450 or
close one
475
genuinely
to
bearish
kind of
candle
guess whether it
and
holds
then
up.
make a
I
new
need
low to confirm it.
a marked trend
that's
change.
where
What
I
does
would
that
enter.
mean? That means I need to see
now,
higher
there's
lows.
not enough
I also need to
bearishness
see see higher highs. If I don't see that, if I continue seeing
setup.
what I've been seeing, which is a downward
looking at
channel,
Meta
I'm
as
not
well for
interested. I don't want to
continuation,
scalp
but again,
30
it
pennies.
doesn't
I'm
have
looking
that
for the
bullish
breakout
shot.
trade. So CURR
bullish feel
certainly
to
in
it all up
focus
with this kind of indecision
right
candle.
now. Now, this one was not tradable
again,
under my
similar.
system when I sat down, but now it is CGBS, okay? Not just BS, CGBS. This one south of $1, having a lot of trouble breaking and holding above that buck.
Roy, no,
it
I'm
did
not in a trade. I've not
momentarily.
been in
It
a trade
weaseled
for
up to 109,
probably 30
and then
minutes
it
or so.
dropped quick as you like back into 70 pennies. It had another attempt
Nothing,
at $1, right around over
setting
here,
up the way
11
I like
o'clock,
it
right
to.
when we started the show, and then it dropped again into 80s. Now this
But, you
time
know, it's still
we're
early.
putting incrementally
Again, we still have
higher
hours and
lows
hours to go.
with that same flat
Like 4
top
hours.
at the $1. What does that mean?
plenty
If
of
I had
time.
an animation, I'd hit it, but it's the opposite of this one. It's a flat top breakout, not a flat
Richie,
bottom
5-minute
breakdown.
chart, how many
So what I'm
cents of
looking for
risk
right
you
now
have?
on CGBS,
I don't really look at
number
it that
one,
way. If you look
does it
at-
break through the $1
at
this
these
time? If
candles
it
here on
doesn't,
Meta on my
I'm
screen, you
an
can see each
interested
candle,
buyer
each
on the
5-minute candle
dip.
is
The dip
multiple
could be
dollars.
85, 87 and a
And look
half,
at,
maybe even weasels down into
Google.
82 and a
Each
half.
5-minute
That's where it
candle is
weaseled
like
down
20,
last
30
time.
cents or
Last
something.
time. Here's the $1 again
So
on
I can't really look
CGBS,
at
and
it
it's
that way, how
not
many cents
forthcoming
or dollars you risk
on the break
just because
yet
you're trading
again.
a
So
5-minute chart. It
I'm
depends
all
on the
eyes on
move
this
of the
one.
ticker. It
Now I
depends
may
how
miss
volatile
the
it is.
trade, right? If we get that
Typically, I
big
put
boy
my,
break of $1 and it
stops
takes
on
out
the
that
other side of the
109
5-minute
HOD,
candle.
likelihood
And as you see
is
in some
I've
tickers,
missed my
that's a
80
long
something,
distance.
90 something penny
It's
entry,
multiple dollars.
and I'm gonna have to chase it if I get involved with it. So CGBS certainly in focus right now.
101. I don't know who
You know,
RT
up
is, but I'm guessing you're
64%
talking to me.
above VWAP,
Sometimes I
knocking
trade
on the
all day
door
if
of
the
that
opportunities
$1
are there.
area.
If
So we're
they're
gonna keep
not,
an
I don't.
eye out on that one.
That's all it is.
VRME pissed me off, so I'm taking that one off. We're
Division
gonna
V,
put
yes,
up
we talked about that
Fubo
yesterday,
because
right?
everybody and
Adding
their
into
mother's
these
third
winners.
cousin has
I
been talking
don't
about
do that
this
with
one,
this
so
strategy
it behooves us to
at the
get involved. In
moment.
case you don't know what's going on with
So,
Fubo, they are they
let's
have
see.
struck
Something to
a
work on, right?
definitive
This
agreement,
strategy is all about
not
holding full
tentative,
size for
but
a full move.
definitive agreement with your boy Disney
So,
and Bobby
there
I
isn't really
to
much
kind of
room
create
to
a
add. Adding
streaming
works nicely,
conglomerate of
pullbacks
sorts.
and stuff like
Fubo
that.
is important in
haven't,
Canada
developed
for
a
the Premier
strategy
League.
for
I don't
that
know
yet.
what they offer south of the
So far,
border.
I'm
Can't
really happy
afford
with
them.
this strategy.
Yeah, that's the only reason anybody gets this thing, bro.
That's
They got
funny.
nothing.
Doesn't Dazen have them?
No, they
it's-
lost it. They have Champions League.
Oh,
They had
really?
Prem for
Okay.
like 1 or 2 years. Dude, it's every year the Prem wants more money. It's like the NBA with Amazon out-dueling TNT and Warner Brothers or whatever. Every year they want more money, Joseph. So every year, I don't know what the terms are, 2-3 years, but it's shorter
just gonna call
than
it a day.
the North American
Nothing.
contract.
I'm just gonna-
And then you
it's
got
just
big boy
very
money coming
choppy
from
everywhere,
God knows
so-
where, the Middle East, Russia, I don't know
I'm gonna call it
where.
a day
And
for
then
that
they're
day.
bidding
I'm
like
done.
the
It's
Prem.
already
When I
12.
started
I
watching the
don't
Prem,
trade
was on
beyond
cable.
this
Rod,
time.
it was on Sportsnet.
Saturday mornings, right?
Yeah, TSN, which is like our version of ESPN.
is tricky.
That hasn't been happening for a hot minute because those companies,
have
big as they
FOMC
are,
minutes today as
can't
well?
compete with these other
much,
companies, and they're all private, by the way. Fubo
I think it's at
obviously was
2 p.m.
private until it went public a couple of years ago, but DAZN's still private, right?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So that's a bit of a tougher look there, but we all know what we're
right,
what the deal is right now with these television agreements and,
I'm still
and
sitting
the
here and
sports
watching
leagues.
this
That's kind of
stuff. I don't see
one of the bigger
anything
things at the
setting
moment.
up.
So keeping an eye certainly on
thinking
Fubo
Meta
right
might
now.
set up, but
Mihili Momo,
happened.
you gotta throw WNW up there. Let me have a look, my man. Let me see what WNW is offering us right now in terms of small cap gapper trades. Let's load that bad boy up. WNW, what is this? Miu Technology. Well, not like I really care
Alpha,
what it
the
does. to be quite
correspondence
frank,
between
so
stock charts
here
and
it is. What's the
options
situation?
charts,
This is only up 5 1/4, my
yeah,
man.
just candle for
and
candle.
we've only
I'll just
done
map it out, put 'em
about
side by side, and that's it.
how many shares we've done today?
And
12.4
they don't
million shares on a
exactly,
$3 name.
mimic each other,
It's
but
okay.
they're close enough.
It just
where
took
I can- we
VWAP,
can use
so
it for
your point well
responses.
taken there.
just eyeball
Break
it,
even on the
basically.
days 306, so we're at 322. Yeah, I'll keep it up. It's not bad. It's not my favorite or anything like that, but if it gets some more volume under it, I'm going to keep an eye on it. Tisha wants to know what the
Okay,
situation
it's
is with
top of the
Fubo.
hour.
Let's have a
Let's
look at
call it.
FUBO
And,
right now. So Fubo
have a
just went
great rest of
green.
the day, guys.
Going
Market is
green on the
closed
day. It
tomorrow,
had
so
to
I
take
will see you guys
546. It did
on,
that. And it's above the 550 area now.
Friday.
So Tisha, we rejected
Right.
that
Thanks,
break-even
Carson.
point at
Friday,
1040.
okay.
We tried to go
Yeah.
green at
Take care,
1040. We rejected. We dipped down into
Take care,
505.
guys.
We
Take care,
hold
everyone.
5.
Talk to
There's
you soon.
price
Have a
action
good
support at
little
5.
holiday.
It just wasn't the whole dollar level. And look at the mother of all bottoming tail candles at that 1105 print when we dipped into 5. It was bought up aggressively. So I like that $5 level if it comes back into there. Now, what level am I basing my dip trade on? I'm going to base it on 5. Let's say 540 to 550. I want to base a level now, my dip trade that is, off that area green, the area break-even point, which is yesterday's closing print, which, as I mentioned, is 546. So it has to hold up there. I don't want to trade this if it's negative, whether it has a good chart pattern or not. So if it dips into that area, I could be absolutely persuaded that at that 550, all the way down maybe into the 5 mid-40s for an eventual breakup. But Fubo, Yeah, I mean, it's not technically an inside day because we got lower in the pre-market than we had all day yesterday, but we'll have to see if this one can work its way possibly into another high. That would have to take us above that $6.50 area. That's well away from the high today, which is 567. So to answer your point, Tisha, I'm looking at that 550 to 5 mid-40s for a possible dip trade there. VIR is working its way back into $0.75 area. Oh, boom! We just got filled there, Joseph, at 82s. Let's set up a little bit north now. So I've only got one more out on this one. So we're going to set up on the north side of 14. I don't know, 1407, kind of a random area. Takes out the high there. We'll see what we get. And as my man Neil says, we will not get upset.
No.
What do you got?
Yeah, it's sitting in the same trades, man. Few slowly pulling back. I'm keeping my eyes on Microsoft, Meta, and Apple, as mentioned before. We're starting to pull back on those three big names as well, too, guys. So slightly alarming as the TQs start to come into the volume-weighted average price. I'm not in the best area because I was playing a breakout. I should have took some off the top, but I'm like, no, I kind of want to make this slightly larger. So the volume signatures on the lower time frames are a little bit choppy, and the prints are as well too. So I'm hoping that was once resistance can now act as support, and then we can make that next leg higher. Only time will tell, as I often say. Be patient. If we start to go back into that middle of the range, I'm gonna get out of the trade, reassess the situation, and then look to get back in. But as of right now, NVDA.
U.S. initial jobless claims just coming out here a little bit early this morning. 201,000 versus 215,000 on the week-over-week number there.
Well. So,
just coming through at 8:30. We also got the
market.
ADP
A little bit of a hangover from yesterday's price action, folks.
122,000 versus 140.
Those buyers aren't necessarily stepping in right now. I think they will at some point, unless we're extremely weak and we continue to the south side. But let's see what Adara has
versus
us for at the big
$1.84 million expected.
We're going to take a look at what's been happening so far in this market. S&P 500, speaking of catching a bid or finding some buying power, there's a double bottom on the 15-minute chart here around that 586 level. So that could provide some support. Regardless, though, it is still a pretty weak low, basically flat on the day. Q is also flat on the day and selling off a little bit more aggressively here. But it's worth noting, both of these have double bottoms on the 15-minute chart. So definitely worth taking a look at. IWM, meanwhile, much weaker despite, honestly, a stronger bounce off of its lows. There is still some resistance, though, for it at that 221.60s level. It's been quite the look here for this market. One of these games continuing to push to the upside. But there's still some of them still below key levels. Tesla's still below that $400 level.
A lot of exercise
and one
as
of the
well.
names
Lots
that's
to
been
talk
weaker
about
on the day
today.
and
NVIDIA
honestly
in
kind of
focus.
weak all
Jensen
week
making
has
comments
been
yesterday with
AMD,
respect to
advanced micro
quantum
devices,
computing,
taking a
sending
here
an
down about
entire
4%, and it's
category of
actually a little bit
stocks
off its
down
lows.
double digits.
Did
We're
get a
talking about
double downgrade from
QUBT,
HSBC
Rigetti,
Securities.
and others
And then we
separately.
have
His
MSCI,
company,
that's been
NVIDIA, that is,
attempting
got
to
a
flat
boost from
bottom break here.
Bernstein.
It's been weak here
AMD
along
also
with
in
the
focus,
crypto
Brendo. They got
space.
downgraded today by HSBC, but they're also investing in another company, this ABSI. This company does, I believe, in the healthcare industry, and it looks like they're going to use AI to kind of boost their product.
And that's where
Yeah,
Prop Firm
CES
Match
continuing
comes in.
as well. We had
Prop
the
Firm Match is the ultimate platform to help you
positive
identify and
reaction, I
compare
guess, from
reliable
the,
prop firms
the
tailored
CES
to your
speech
trading
from,
style
Jensen.
and your goals.
And then he goes and
Whether you're
blows
after
up
low fees,
Quantum
high profit splits,
entirely.
or
Here's
quick funding
26% right
evaluations,
now
we've
for
got you covered.
RGTI. And all
Say
he said was
goodbye
it's going to be
to
15
hours of
years
research
minimum
and confusion.
before we
Prop
start to
Firm
see
Match
anything from
makes
them,
it
which is
simple
probably
to find your
pretty
perfect prop
accurate.
firm.
So
Scan that QR code
maybe
or
these
visit
stocks, maybe probably these stocks got a little bit
and take the
out over their
guesswork
skis
out of
a
finding the
little
perfect
bit.
Oh God,
prop
yeah,
firm.
you have to,
Right now, though,
especially
we're gonna
since
send you over
that
to Neil.
Willow
Take
released
it
by
away, Neil.
Google,
You'll
everything
have
has been
another
really moving. And I got to tell you,
Thank you very much.
Quantum
Adara,
started
your
moving after
lesson
the
of
election
the
before
day
Google
today.
announced Willow. So you feel like there was
You know
a
the
trade
Earth
right before
revolves
that with
around
maybe
the sun.
industry participants
It's
knowing
also,
what was going to be the
believe me,
release,
this
because
is
these
kind
guys
of crazy.
were
It was a crazy one.
Yeah,
here for you
ton of
guys.
volume
Another
behind
crazy
this
one.
move as well.
The
It's
Earth
worth
is
mentioning. So, I mean,
actually
there's a lot
round.
of it
It's
to
a
keep an eye
sphere.
on here today. But
Another
RGTI,
one
even
for
the
you
warrants,
is
35% for the
Lee
warrants
Harvey
right
Oswald
now,
actually
a lot
alone. No,
behind
so
that, but
the idea being
a lot to
I
keep
think
an eye on, guys. Good
a
morning.
phrase that I really, really love.
That's not the
that
worst. I mean,
applies to
Rigetti's
some
not
of
even
those
the
types
worst
of
the quantum
notions. Is
names.
that
I know
extraordinary
IonQ's only
claims
18%, but
require
QBTS,
extraordinary
D-Wave
evidence.
is 29%.
And if you've probably heard that in,
downside.
conspiracy theory, all that kind of stuff.
is down
But when it
over,
comes
well
to the
over
market,
20%.
If you've got an overwhelming occurrence
I know
or
he's a
trend,
farmer boy, but
you
Martin
should be
Shkreli actually has an
skeptical of the
interesting
other
thread
direction.
on
Now,
the farm
yesterday,
names. He's probably
it's a little bit of a
about as bearish as
continuation
ever.
from what we
He
saw
put
yesterday
price
for some
targets
of
on
the
them.
drops.
And I think for D, it was
trying to
D
pick up
wave
longs. If you're
and,
looking for a long in
one
a
of the
down
other ones, he
market,
had 1
then you
cent.
should be
Well, not price targets,
absolutely
fair value.
convinced that
He had
there is
1
a
cent
curl.
fair value
Now,
for
when we
D-Wave
sat
when it
down
comes
this
in, and one of the
morning,
other ones.
all
But yeah,
of the
they're going to be in play
quantum
today.
stocks were
Obviously, the
absolutely
big story
bleeding.
yesterday
I don't begrudge
was selling off
anybody
everywhere. So
for
these were like
trying
these
to
were all
catch
day 2
bottoms
sell-offs
because the
in all the
opportunities
quantum
look like they're
names.
juicy.
Because you were already
But
failing
when you
some highs.
have something,
Things failing the high
then
yesterday,
maybe I
Meta
should go to
failed
the
the
daily
triple
chart
top,
first.
Nvidia
When you
failed an
have
all-time high
something
break.
this insane
Couple of quantum
in
names
terms of
failed some
momentum
all-time
move to
high
the
breaks.
upside,
Google
when it
failed
finally
a $200
breaks
level, and
a
that,
two to
$200
3
level,
month
and then
bull
continuation,
parabolic
and then a
trend
bit of a continuation day
on
here
that
today.
day, you should
The
have
good
to be
news is, at 8
completely
o'clock, there was a
convinced
solid
that you
bounce
made a bottom, not
across the
just a
board, right
regular
at about
setup.
8,
You
right
shouldn't
at
have
about 8
any
a.m.
kind of a
And
doubt
remember,
in
we
your
get
mind,
Fed
and if
minutes
there
today. I don't
is,
know how
you're
big of a
just
deal
better
that's
off
gonna be.
getting away
But
from
there's
it.
a host
Now, I
of
say
names
this
that look
as
like
obviously you know I was
continuations for short
shorting
side.
and then reloading on
And,
the
the
trend,
quantum
missing this
names
one in
in
here.
addition.
On just
Thankfully,
one
2
entry.
of
Well, I
them,
missed
we have
2
free
entries on Qubit
locations
because I couldn't get the 6th break. SSR
We
stocks, man. Short
welcome
sellers
everybody. Hope you're
Rather you were
having
sitting in it
a
and going into
good
the open
day.
and shorting the pop, but we did miss
I don't know
one
if you guys are
reload
on
on
this
it.
silo or
Now,
not,
obviously,
but it just started
you've
popping
seen
and we
this show
took
a
that
while.
long.
I am
Silo
long
right here.
this
Silo
every
Pharma
single
shares
time.
are trading higher after the
On
company
stock
announced
trending down.
it was awarded a
I'm
U.S.
talking
patent
like
for
just
its
about every single time you
PTSD
trend down
treatment.
this much on a trend line that
So
I'm
we're
showing the top
long
of.
right
I'm
now
not
on
covering
Silo
the short
right there.
I'm
Already a
taking a
banger
breakout long, and it
for
never
you
makes
here
another
today.
low. And it
So
almost had
again,
almost
thank
had
you so
D1.
much for watching.
But the reason I'm
this
not
name
in
only
it
is 4
is
million
because
share float.
these things were
7% short
nonsensical.
float.
And it
already
wasn't
done
an
5 million, 6
A+
million
reversion
shares.
setup. It wasn't steep enough.
This
There was
could be
no
one of
real
those ones.
panic volume
I'm waiting
candle.
at $2.50
Like all those things
now
didn't set
that
up,
was the top. Our
convincing
best out
me
is
that it was a reversal, which is fine.
$2.30.
Like it ends
So,
up being the wrong
you know, a couple
decision
percentage points
not
already
to have reversed
in the
into a long
blotter
in
today.
QBTS.
But yeah,
who
so far
cares?
so good.
I got to ask myself, was
there.
it
I don't know if anybody
an
saw
A+
that
when this was the
TGL
weakest
Golf
market that was
yesterday. That was
absolutely
pretty-
bleeding,
pretty
where the
awesome. They
sentiment is
did the,
100% shifted
screens,
against
the
these?
indoor
I'm going to
golf.
think
It
it's a
was
short tomorrow on
great.
these
Yeah, Rory
quantum names. I
McIlroy
don't
was
see- well,
there. Ricky
check that.
Fowler
Market's close tomorrow.
with his
On
glasses
Friday, I'm
were
going
in
to
there.
still
It
think
was
these are
fun
short
times.
because I'm going to play continuation when
Really
something
good
that
yesterday.
distinct has
So we'll see. I think
happened.
that's,
And it's
gonna be
not just
something
about the parabolic
coming
movers
very, very
either.
soon. They can play
this
like 18
morning,
holes in like
which
an
is
hour
so cool.
because they don't
Nvidia,
have
which
to
was
walk
a
the course,
big
right? So
reversal
where
off
it's
the
like
highs. So to me, something
for
very
here, it's
different
good
and
for
something
sure.
big happened in the other direction.
You can't play outdoor
There
golf
was a
around
point where I
here.
kept saying, man, Nvidia's looking
Or
strong. It's trying
unless
to
you're
catch a bid.
completely
It's holding
insane, I
that
suppose.
trend.
I mean, once we
But
become
you're-
U.S.
but I'm
citizens,
not
then we
long
can
that
travel much
breakout.
more
Why?
easily,
Because I need extraordinary
across the
evidence
border.
that there's
We go
going to
to
be
Phoenix
follow
and
through.
stuff.
And what that
Well,
requires
you know
for
what?
me
Maybe
I don't
Vegas.
care
is
what
a
this says,
hold
what
of
Look at
the
this silo.
You break that high, one of two things needs to
the
happen.
idea that you have
Either
easier
you're going to hold the
transportation or
consolidation
easier
up top,
travel between
or the
US and
trend
Canada,
going into it
better
on a
trade
fail of the
relations, like
break.
all that kind of stuff
This
would be fantastic.
It
I
has
would
to
welcome
hold that
I don't care
trend.
about the
Now, it
51st
can
state,
fail a
just
break
get-
at the
make
high,
life easier
hold
for
trend and
everybody.
go. Then you can take
Yeah,
a
just
local
really quickly,
top
some
break,
lot of
then
people
you
here
can work
talking
into
about this
longs.
stock. I mean,
But
it's part of
if
why I'm
something
trading
so
it. I mean, it's been
distinct
hot
to the downside
recently. Some of these
happened,
runners,
why
right? We've
shouldn't
had
I
some
need
big
to be
winners
completely
in
convinced
these
that
names,
this is going to
including
be
Fubo.
just working in
the
the other
last couple
direction? We're going to
days,
bother
you know,
going into
Rigetti when
crypto
it's moving.
and
Obviously
some
today
of
as
those
well will be
shorts,
another one of
but I
those
am going
days,
to take you one
for
last
those
one
names.
here.
And,
Here's the difference.
This was just one that sort
I
of fit
didn't
the
do
bill, right?
jack
Low
with Fubo
float name
at
that
all
started to
until it
move on
set up.
news.
I think
So
the
it's just
cleanest
like,
trade possible
let's
for a long.
Let's let it go.
Now, obviously,
and see if we
this was
have,
trending. We talked
you know,
about this
that
in the morning. It was
opportunity
trending
here
the
to
entire
catch a
morning.
bigger trade.
This is the open.
I'm already
double
out of 40%
bottom,
of
stair
it.
step higher.
You know, most of that
into the
written here around
high,
220.
stair step,
You
hold
guys
the
were
higher
asking for
low at
some levels and
$5,
things like
and it
that.
just was trending.
I mean, coming right back in
But what did Fubo
240s.
also do?
You know, this is what we're looking
Fubo
at. That's
had
why I'm
big
sitting
day,
here right now. Is we sort of
fails
zoom this
top,
back
consolidation.
out. You can go all the way back to
I needed
April,
to be completely
and I mean that was
convinced with the
240 for
most
some
simple
reason,
setup with the least
unable
amount
to
of
break
risk
this
that it was going to
level.
be
So
good.
I don't know
didn't
if
think I
there's
had it
sort of a
until
whale
you had
seller
that top
in
break.
there
So
or not.
I needed to
I'm
be
surprised they
completely
would be there
convinced
in
and
the
take the
pre-market
lowest
right now, but
risk trade,
I didn't
which was
really
a double top break.
notice it when
where
it
my
was going
it's
like
also
that.
the
So
prior close.
we
You
were able
get
to
prior
get something
close,
out when we saw the
double
top and then the
break,
fade back.
very,
But I
very
didn't have
tight
a look
risk
at the
because
level
your
two.
trend
So
line
we'll
looks
see
like
if it can get back
that
up there.
on Fubo.
If there's some
So
odd
that
sell
risk
pressure
is
around
super
that
tight. It's like
250
5
area.
cents worth
But
of
if you're
risk
in
on
right
it
now
when it
at
breaks that high
193
to the trend
and you
line.
can take like 30%
So I'm
like
not
we
having to
have,
force
that
the
might not be a
action
bad start
on
to the
Fubo
day.
or
So
any
we're going to
type
start
of
to maybe
long
get a little bit
in
more
a
out.
name which
not
had the
until,
big rejection yesterday.
220,
And
then
it's not
240.
Like, obviously, if you take it earlier,
a number of other things moving around here. I was just having a look at Apple, a couple of down days in a row
obviously,
here
if I
for Apple.
reverse in
The
QBTS,
downgrade we were talking
that would
about
have still
yesterday,
worked out.
right back up as soon as
But
the
on the
market
same
opened,
vein, you've got
basically
to
erasing
ask
that
yourself,
initial move in
if
the
you
pre-market,
have that
but we give
quick
it all back
trigger
into
to the
the,
longs
end
when you
of the
feel
day.
there's a big
There's an
change of
iPhone 16
direction,
note on,
what's the other side of
Indonesia
that?
this morning that
Well, the
sends
other
this,
side of that
even
is
lower
I'm
this
probably
morning. So,
long NVIDIA and getting
big tech
ripped.
in general
So you
under a bit
can't
of
just
pressure
look
here
at,
this morning.
oh,
We
but
saw
if I
Nvidia
flip to
yesterday give
these
it all
longs,
back, down.
it would have
I
worked
mean,
out like
it's
absolute
down
gangbusters. No,
versus
you
where
got
we
to play it
started
across
yesterday,
the board. What
but
else
positive
would
so
you
far
have done
this
along
morning,
those
though.
lines in that strategy?
Overall,
And then
we'll
mark
see,
your wins
by the
against
way,
that.
Fed minutes
Because to
coming up this
me,
afternoon.
Oh yeah, that's
if
going to be
getting
big.
into
We'll see
that
exactly
trade
what
on
they think. But with
QBTS for
respect
the
to the
long or
Apple story there,
taking
Brendo,
Fubo
it's been
early
a kind of
to
a
the
tit
long
for
worked
tat
out for me.
exchange
I gotta
between the
ask myself how
Indonesian
much I would
government
have
and
bled on
Apple.
NVIDIA
Indonesia
applying the same
insisting
type of
that there
premise.
has to be substantial
And
investment
based
in
on
the
the way
infrastructure of their
NVIDIA
company,
traded for me
where they
yesterday,
make
the
a
answer
part
is,
of
I
the
don't want
iPhone
any of
in
those.
Indonesia locally.
I would rather
Apple
take the easy ones.
Apple committed
eliminate
about
the
$1 billion
bloodbath
in
so
investment
you
that
don't
was
take what we call in trading
insufficient
the
from the
headshot.
Indonesian government.
And
So
the
they're continuing to
headshot
go back and
is not
forth.
when you take
We'll have
a
to see
loss.
how this
It's
all
when you
pans out.
take
But
a
Apple's
loss
already
that
invested
on the
to the tune of about
strategy you're
$100 million
trading is
in
more
the
than
country. But
is
again,
2x,
insufficient
3x
amount
what
according
you
to the
would win on that
Indonesian government.
strategy.
Big
That's a
market
headshot.
there
It's
and a
not taking
burgeoning
loss.
market in
It's
Southeast
when you
Asia.
take a big loss.
That they're
And
still
that's what
trying to,
NVIDIA would have been
gain
applying the
access to.
same,
So
hey,
we'll
it's
see how
looking
that
strong.
pans
Why
out.
not
Here's,
just take it?
here's a look at the
Same thing
next
as Fubo.
projection,
But if you try that long
for
on
January,
trend in NVIDIA,
95.2%
it
right
absolutely
now on
bleeds
hold,
on you and
as
you're going to get
expected
mowed.
there. If you go out to
So
March, it's still a bit
repeat
of a
the
coin
quote,
toss on whether or not we'll get
extraordinary
another
claims
cut coming
require
through.
extraordinary evidence.
Remember, if it
When
kind of feels
big
like
moves
have
and
changed
reversals
since the
and
last
trends
Fed
happen
meeting
or
when we
they
sat here
break and go in
listened
the other
to,
direction,
Secretary Powell,
you need to be
didn't really
very,
give us
very
any kind of
convinced to
indication as
try to
far
take
as,
the counter.
what
It
their
shouldn't
plan
just be a
was.
C or a B
Give us
setup.
the same old,
You can take B setups are best reserved for going along with the trend as it's running.
We do get this.
When you're doing a reversion, it better be
coming
A.
up on
It better be an
Friday
A plus
morning
or
this
an A
week,
setup
which
if you're
will
going to
be
go
key
against
to
that
this
grain.
to
So
see how
that's your
things
lesson
play
of the
out, but
day.
might
Be
be March
skeptical
before we
when it comes
see
to
any kind of
going
money.
against the
Yeah,
grain
if
or
we even
changing
see
a
Donald
or
Trump
going
wants
against a major
to,
change of the
announce
trend
an
in the market.
economic emergency
So be safe
to kind
out
of
there.
spur
Lots of
along
runners.
his tariff
Go
plan
Fubo.
there. So that could be inflationary. We have to wait and see exactly what
All
the
right,
data
Neil.
shows and how the Fed
That was,
responds to some of the
another-
fiscal stimulus or fiscal policies coming
Arm
out from
on
the
the
new
hair,
government.
kind
Should
of
be
a-
an interesting winter quarter.
Yeah, it's if anyone's joining
Hair
for
on
the
the
first
arm.
time and it's your
Arm on
first
the
go
hair.
around with Fed, the
I know,
release of
my
the Fed
arm
minutes, it's
always
just simply
gets my hair.
the minutes from the last meeting. So there's not going to be anything we don't know
caught me
already. It'll
messing
just
up
give more
the
clarity
wording
on
there.
individual Fed members and how they voted and comments. And
All right,
things like
guys.
that. So 2
VIR
p.m.
is
this
moving.
afternoon for that.
Let's talk about it. So
it's
the
always-
move into the
It's
volume
always
weighted
a
average
bit of
price,
a, I'd say,
big
muted
move down
event
there
on
off
the
that
minutes, but
14
it'll be
rejection.
interesting to digest.
It comes
Probably
back into
keep an
12
eye
and a
on what
half.
rates are
That's
doing because
where we weasel
yields have
in.
been pretty
The best
high
I could do on this was
10-year yields at
14.10. There it
4.7
goes. Here
right
comes
now and
14 and a
still
half.
trending upside.
Big move
So you
up
gotta
here
watch
as
out
this
for
one
that.
knocks
That's
on the
been weighing
door
on all
of
those-
triple
all
digits.
your nice defensive stocks that pay you those
82% and
dividends.
change.
They've been trash while
VIR
yields have been going
really
higher.
going
So I think
here.
you gotta maybe pay attention to some of
Respecting
those,
the trend,
as we
higher
get
lows,
back,
higher highs.
closer to
Good
2 o'clock.
move
Oh, the
on
rough day for
VIR.
Tesla
Keeping my
yesterday.
eye out on this
Randy.
one. I'm
Rough,
also keeping
rough
my
day. At
eye,
least they're not
my
quantum
eye
stocks.
on NITO.
Quantum
What a
stocks are
move
down average
off
of
the low there.
20%.
So this one, I didn't peg this one for a recovery, but certainly recovering today. Now
Oh,
look,
you
this is
formed it
an
in like a
ugly
heart.
looking chart
Very
pattern.
kind.
If you're
Yeah,
looking
look
from
at
the
that.
third onwards, it's been
Appreciate
lower
you,
lows,
Randy.
lower
It's kind
highs
of
every
that,
day.
there we go. Yeah,
Today
I was gonna
it's
say,
kind
I
of
was gonna turn
in
it
no
around.
man's land.
Yeah, I
$137
was
is
gonna
the
put my
break
rate
even.
down
It got to
1%.
$116. Now it's
Yeah,
at
I
a
gotta-
$160,
yeah, I'll have to
kind of a little bit north of
yeah, down
halfway.
1% before that does
NITO
continue.
still not tradable under
It's
my
still
system.
above the 50-period moving average. I
Because
mean, I still
that
like this
6 a.m.
360 area.
or
I mean, the
6:10
pullback in the
print
market
took
is
us to
here. We talked about
$1.70,
that.
and
you're
we
all the
only
way
have a
back a couple
$1.67
days.
HOD
It's not the end of the end of the
went to the
world.
bell. So this is going to have to
miss
break
on
and
the
take a
deliveries was a
$1.70.
problem
But
when
if
we
it
went from
does,
420
let me
down
tell
to
you, I think
380.
it
I mean, that
makes
was
the
a big
trade
day there,
exponentially more
for
likely
Tesla. And, I mean,
to move in your
that's the
favor
macro,
if we
right?
get
Like,
that high.
no matter what we
of
think about the
the
company, they
pre-market
missed
high
on
take.
deliveries.
So I'm
that's
going to be
like-
very interested if
that's
we
sort
take
of
that $1.70. So much
baked in
so
now. So
that
now
I've
we have to
already
figure
thrown
out
an
what do we
alert
think
out
moving
there
forward.
at the $1.70.
Can
I
they
might
get
not have
their-
to wait long,
basically their
baby,
act
because
together?
this
Can they
one
get
is
that new
on the
model
way
on the
right now at
road?
$1.65. Looking to take out that $1.67. I'm talking about NITO. Certainly not the biggest percentage mover on the day.
You're saying Cybertruck.
19 and change,
Cybertruck
but definitely
discounts
a good
maybe in the
looking chart
works.
pattern,
There's a surplus of
especially
Cybertrucks
off
right
those
now.
lows. The VRME
No Model 2
was
in
trying to do a
sight.
good
I might be
recovery off
pessimistic here,
that
but yes, I am.
210 bump
Yeah,
and
that
pop,
was the
but
problem,
it's
though.
getting right back
You know,
into 3 and
there's
having trouble with 3
issues.
now. That's
So,
the bad side.
But
The
I
other
think
side is
if you
putting
look at the
umpteen
storm
amount of higher
clouds, we knew
lows
this was coming.
on its way
again,
to
it's been fun to
reclaim
trade
3
this since
if
what,
it
September?
reclaims 3. So
But-
keeping an eye on VRME.
Is it
I
gonna
didn't
last
trade
forever?
it that well initially. I had a good entry in it, and then we tried to
Rivian.
DCA
Well,
into
no,
the
I was
volume weighted
gonna-
average
What's
price,
wrong
and
with
that's
Rivian
where
now?
things really,
I don't think it's
you know
anything
what,
wrong with
hit
it.
the
I was
fan.
just
I
playing-
just think
and,
Rivian's
we ended up going
gonna,
negatory
they're
on
gonna
it. So
get
I don't want to
pulled
be
down,
quick
maybe a sympathy
to
play
jump into
with,
this one
you
because
know,
my
some of the
read on it
demise of
has been a little bit
Tesla, but
suspect
it's
on the
the
day.
fundamentals are better, I think.
But
so.
we'll keep an eye on that.
Potential, yes.
Fubo,
Yeah, look, Tesla,
okay. So
Tesla had that
Fubo prints a
crazy ramp up. Like, it
569.
wouldn't surprise me.
Print
I
and
think the
comes
bigger
back
issue
right
for
into
Rivian
5.5,
is gonna be,
getting bought off
you know, what we were
5.5.
just looking at with Rick.
I really don't know
Like,
whether
for all
to
these small
trade
caps,
Fubo
everyone
or
not
not
making
today.
money,
It's
for
a
everybody that
2
needs to
percentage.
beat production or
It's
figure
2% in the
production out.
green.
Like, it's gonna be
you know, it's got a
expensive
nice
for them
chart
if we don't
pattern.
get
There's
any
no
cuts
question
this
about
year,
it
if we only
coming
get
from
one
negative
cut
to
this year. That
positive
just-
on the
I know,
day.
I'm getting
I just don't
smoked,
know if
but I
there's
like
enough
the chart.
eyes behind it.
Despite
It
all
would have
that,
been
Rivian's
fantastic,
making
maybe a
higher highs and higher
5.
lows.
I
It's
feel like
still
this one
looking
maybe.
okay in this move.
I don't know.
So long as
I'm going to keep my eye on it. It's not going to leave the side chart.
You
We're going
want
to
to
keep it
stop
right
making
there,
a base of
exactly
$10.
where it is, and
It's
then
gotta-
point
yeah, it's gotta
sets
stay
up.
up.
At some point, you got to hold
more
12.
We need a new
advantageous way.
base.
Maybe I'll get back into this. Last but not least,
If
before
you
we see
buy
what
it down
Joseph
at
is up
10 and you're never
to,
taking anything
CURR,
out,
it's still putting in
15,
that downward
16,
channel.
17,
But
eventually you just end up
that's the
beating
bad
it.
side, obviously, because
We'll
I
see
don't
how
want to
it
take the
goes.
short. The
Coffee
good
time?
side is, though,
It's
it
always
seems to
coffee
have
o'clock
found its
around
base
here.
at 4 3/4. Subsequent to
It's
that
something-
4 3/4
Thanks
double
for-
bottom
thanks
here
very
on
much,
the
Randy. I'll
5
tell
minute
you
chart.
one thing is for
11:45
sure,
and 12,
I drink at
11:50,
least,
excuse me, we
on
double bottom
average,
up
one
there.
more cup of coffee
We've been
in the winter than I do.
incrementally putting in
Oh, yeah.
higher lows, not
It's
by
the
much.
cold
They've been
thing.
anemic higher lows.
And on the weekend-
but that's all I really need
Weekends
to
are
figure
so
out.
cool. Like, if I'm going out, we're gonna do, like, a
possibly
snowball
start
fight
getting
outside with my
a
daughter.
higher
Like,
low,
I
higher
literally
high
will bring the
situation
mug
there,
outside.
and then work our way through that level.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm
that's
getting
what
an alert here that
those Yetis going on
NITO
here.
has now
The
taken
Yetis-
out the
the
high
Yetis
of the
again.
gates,
It is
taking
a
it
little
up by 1 penny.
Sometimes
Katina
cold
Man,
against
can you
when it
believe
gets
it?
going, I don't know.
So we're going to
We'll
keep
put
an eye on that.
the-
Katina Man
get
is
that-
now
get
back
that heat going.
from his swim
All right,
sesh.
so we'll go back
get
to the desk.
ready
We'll come back
for
and talk more
the,
about it. We averaged into
the
silos,
large
so I
cap
don't know. We'll
trading over
figure
here
out the
as he's
average
going to let
price
us know
eventually.
exactly what he's up to.
A heck of a
He's
lot of volume
giggling because he
there, but,
knows it's
we're
true.
noting here,
So we're going to keep an
Instacart,
eye
which
out
is
on
Maple Bear.
NITO. It's zigging and
Maple Bear is
zagging.
the
Once it
parent
took up
company
the high of the day, it started
Instacart, up
really zigging and zagging here.
4.7%
So we're going to
here
get
on light
involved,
volume,
Joseph,
popped
but we're
up
going to
close
get
yesterday.
involved.
Going into the
small
mid
amount
cap,
up here.
S&P mid cap 400. So
We're going to get this
again,
one the
kinda
old
light
community
on the
college
volume.
try, see what
I will happily
manifests
pay
over here.
Instacart to go to Costco for me every single weekend.
I love that, right? The junior college try. Yes, Joseph, I like that. I like that. So here we go. We're in NITO right now. Let's see what this one does. Now, let me tell you, I'm very interested in trading
worth it at all.
NITO.
All right, going to be added to the S&P, as Brando mentioned, S&P 400 mid caps. That is going to be effective January 14th. It will replace a medical technology company known as Innovis Corp in the index, and that's obviously moving down, or Innovis is, sorry, moving down to the small cap 600. We'll keep an eye out on that. Up already, Brando, 4.8%.
There it is. All right,
year-to-date.
here we go, Joseph. We're setting up here at 98.
It's kind of weird. It's
Let's see if
Monday,
we can continue
I guess.
to cross
So,
it.
Tuesday the 14th.
All right, I love high day breaks, baby. Let's
Monday
go.
at the close.
We're having a good time up in this you-know-what. So keep an eye out on two guys, two psychological
Maple Bear,
level
Instacart
of
is such
resistance. It doesn't have to
ordinary
reject,
stable
but there's a
stock
good
lately.
possibility
Not
we
what I
do
would've
reject that
expected,
$2
but look,
before
I know a lot of
retracing
people
and then
since the
making
pandemic,
another attempt at that
depending on your
$2 level.
situation,
Again,
swear,
there doesn't
absolutely
have to be
swear by,
price action resistance
swear by
there.
slippery
It's
service.
sometimes
I
a
love them. I think they're
psychological
obviously here to stay.
resistance
I
level.
don't
Here
know
we
how
go.
exciting
I'm waiting
this
at
is
fours.
today.
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
Mr.
call
Nitto.
it
I've been waiting
90,000
at fours. You
shares.
moved
No
up into
movement in
four, but it
general
didn't
sense,
cross,
probably
so we didn't get
nothing, Berger, but when
printed.
the
Let's see if we can
effective
do a
date
little bit
happens,
better, Joseph.
we've seen
We're
what can
gonna
happen at the
with a
close
dip trade. What do you
when
got?
you have an index
Okay, guys,
action,
so
so
let's
you
just
got to
take
look
a
up
look at
on
this TQQ
that last
trade
15
when I
minutes
got stopped
when
out
they
at
do
the
get
breach of
that.
the
That'll
volume
make-
weighted average price. This
With
was
any
just
luck,
essentially
that'll
a
be an
liquidity
opportunity.
grab
It
here.
doesn't mean it'll be a
False
buy and bounce
breakout,
on that particular day.
grabs
I just wanted to
liquidity,
quickly
and then
note,
now we're
we've
heading
seen
to the
this story
downward
before,
side with
the
momentum. So
DATS, which was a runner
yeah, tough
yesterday,
look. I should have took
has
some off
announced
at
an offering,
81.20s there, but
because
we did not.
obviously they have.
Same thing here with
They
NVDA,
announced
folks.
the pricing
Had to flip
of
the
a
bias
million,
because
how
everything
big
is
is this?
breaking some key support levels.
5.1
We're heading
million
southeast,
registered
so
direct
let's see if we
offering
can
priced at the
participate
market.
on that front. Not going to look
So
for these longs
5.1
necessarily
million.
right now. So
I mean, it
gotta
ran
keep an
really
eye out for
well
this. Let's
yesterday.
see
We
if
always talk
NVDA
about this. Like,
decides
any
that it
one of
wants to
these
head
small
lower.
caps can
And
pull this on
to
you at
that
any
individual
point.
in the chat yesterday
It just
who was like,
happened, maybe
they
bounced
wanted to
off the
sell the
$3
one
level, but, it's got
sell
all
the
way up to
140 puts.
$9 in
Let
the
me know if you
aftermarket,
actually did. You're holding
gapping
on to
down
those.
and now an offering
I know
for
they don't expire until
DATS.
March
So
as
that's
we're
what's
displaying
not up
before.
anymore.
But again, I said
As
you
fun
could
as it
drop
was
that strike
yesterday, how
down and get a
quickly
better
they come
price.
back in.
As
The
of
company
right now,
decides to
those
take advantage
short
of it,
puts
right? You
are
saw
in
some
the
of the
money.
quantum
So
names do this. this.
again, come
I think
March,
it was,
unless you get hit with some early assignment, you're going to be
actually
owning some shares of
when it crossed
NVDA
$5, we're
at
able to pull
140.
this
But
off
I
on the
do
way
think
up,
you can get a little bit better of a
that's
price.
down
Because look
50%
at this
now,
daily
looking
candle
pretty
here.
ugly
What an
for this
insane
small cap.
engulfing
And
candle.
there's a bunch of other runners out there
absolutely engulfing
that,
this
like
whole
we always
range
say,
right here,
like the
folks.
sauna.
So that's something to keep in mind. And I mentioned this yesterday as well too.
Treatment.
Open up my laptop.
Their runner up 250%.
On the
So
trade
when everyone
in,
broke taking
see
profit,
that
I'm not
NVDA
saying they're going to drop
was
an
trading
offering,
at
but
all-time
crazier
highs.
things
I'm like,
have
oh, okay,
happened.
is this a gap and go scenario? Boom.
Yeah, I mean, to get out of any of these names right now, I mean, up to everybody. I mean, most of us will already still have profits. I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh, well, you know, the move is down on a name like QBTS or, you know, why is that saying? Yeah, okay, that's right. All right, I was going to say $11. That makes sense. But at the same time, you know, you're not back that far. Like this goes back. Look at this guy just engulfed this whole range 750
with
right now in
NVDA
QBTS
and continue to the sell side.
Christmas.
So was this somewhat of a double top with a liquidity grab? We do know that a lot of analysts say, hey, the market is primed for a 20% correction. Are we getting anywhere close to that? I don't think so, but we are off the all-time highs here. Let's pull up some cues and see what we got going on from a daily perspective to see how far off the all-time highs we are. I don't think it's anywhere close to 20%. To see how far off the all-time highs right now we are. I don't think it's anywhere close to 20%. Yeah, about 5% right now. So more downside can be slightly alarming. I think that maybe this next target is the 500s on the cues. But just a lot of chop right now. And officially on Burden was asking me, Joe, what am I looking to play, like from an option standpoint? And I'm like, you know what, dude, sometimes when the volatility is stepping in, you want to avoid those credit-based trades, as I mentioned to him, because you don't want to be selling premiums with an increase in the VIX, so that average true range fluctuates more on a day-to-day basis in these stocks, so you have to be completely
Are you
wary of
looking
that.
to record
So as
two
we're on the
screens,
descent,
not just
you
one,
don't
two,
want to be
at
writing
once
options
inside of
because
OBS
the
Studio,
volatility
Streamlabs
starts to
OBS,
pick
or
up,
Stream Elements?
can be
If
quite
so, stay
alarming.
tuned
So,
because
yeah.
that's what we're going to be talking
Here's the
about
look
today.
on the cues.
Roll that intro.
Condors is probably the way to go, but if one side really starts to pick.
What is going on, guys? Chad here from How To Tech, the channel dedicated to helping you take your tech to the next level. And today we're going to be talking about how to record two screens at once inside of OBS Studio, Streamlabs, or Stream Elements. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to just do one screen. You can do two, you can do three, you can do four, however many your computer can handle. We'll talk about that in just a second. And it doesn't just have to be your monitor. It could be your monitor, it could be a video, it could be your webcam. You could really get creative with this, and this could help you out in post-production as something else we'll actually talk about later in the video. So hopefully there will be timestamps down below so you can jump around and see what you need to see. So let's jump over to the computer. All right, so now that we're over at the computer, I'm gonna go ahead and explain what we are doing, because it sounds like magic. It sounds like some voodoo or some crap's going on, and it's not. It's nothing crazy. It is just essentially doing something that you may have been able to do all along inside OBS, just a lot of people didn't think about it. And actually, I want to say a big shout out to my cousin, because he's the one that told me about this, and he said, yeah, I just thought to do this and I can record my webcam at full 1080p and my monitor at 1080p. And I was like, that's a great idea for a video. Can we go ahead and make a video about it? And he's like, yeah, man. So yeah, you can record two monitors at once, or you could record your webcam at full 1080p in your monitor and maybe two monitors, or you could even scale it up to 3 or 4, however many your computer can handle. So with that being said, and since I'm just giving some basic resolutions and how to do it for up to 3 monitors on 1080p and 720p, I just want to go ahead and state, I'm not going to be giving out bit rates or recommendations for bit rates. What I would suggest is whatever it recommends for 1080p, if you do 2 monitors, double it. 3, triple it. 720p, the exact same thing. Try it out, see if your computer can handle it, and if it can, you're good. And maybe see if the quality looks pretty good for you. But this is a super awesome way to essentially go ahead and get more out of OBS. So yeah, what we're going to be doing is just kind of briefly explaining what resolution is. So a 1080p video inside of OBS, this is going to be 1920 width by a height of 1080. And what we're essentially going to be doing is extending the width by 2 for 2 monitors. So that's going to be 3840 by 1080. So I'm going to go ahead and take that graphic off the screen, which is a really nice top of the line graphic notepad. And what we're going to be doing is going to settings, and we're going to go to video, and we're going to just be changing this to 3840. So